I travel from one world to another doing wholesale sales, and you call this the end of the world? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 526, An Unexpected Event. As the battle line slowly advanced, the number of advanced zombies and alien species also increased. However, with everyone operating step by step, they all became the spoils of the Phaeton army. Unknowingly, night fell. At this time, many people realized that they had been standing for a day. Yes, standing, not fighting. Because most of the time, they just stood and watched. The bull had been rotated twice, but they rarely had the opportunity to take action. Sometimes they would help the mobilized soldiers to clean up the zombie corpses that blocked their progress. Especially those special zombies such as land tanks and warthogs that were quite large. They were directly burned to ashes by the flame demon. If energy consumption is not considered, letting the flame demon be the scavenger is indeed a good choice. However, even the wealthy Phaeton base has extremely strict control over corpse crystals and beast souls. Because they can not only be used as a new generation of energy sources, but also the main raw materials for energy potions. Either way, it is the top priority. So, what can be saved must be saved. The battle did not cool down with the arrival of night. On the contrary, the night has a terrifying effect on zombies. It makes the battle between zombies more intense. Even the survivors who are used to seeing zombies were surprised by the bloody fight in front of them. Zombies who have no fear, no pain, and only know how to kill. Once they go crazy, even alien species are afraid. Because they don't distinguish between enemies and friends. Anyone within his attack range will be attacked frantically. Even if the level is much higher. Zombies will use claws and teeth to attack frantically. Even if it's just a layer of skin, they won't stop at all. Just ask, no matter how thick the defense is, how many layers of skin can be lost. It can be said that as long as the zombies are given enough time, there is no defense that they can't bite through. Such a species is really terrible. Seeing this, everyone can't help but feel a chill on their backs. Fortunately, they became Phaeton people. Sue hovered in the air, looking at the zombies fighting under his feet, and couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Night battles are a strong point for zombies. I don't know if the bull could withstand it. Fortunately, there was no danger. Time soon reached the second half of the night. Thanks to the zombies' blessing of the night frenzy state, the speed of pushing the race has increased a lot. The front line has advanced several kilometers. There is almost no need for lighting on the battlefield. The piles of burning zombie bodies are like huge torches, illuminating the battlefield. However, with the increase in the number of surrounding buildings, the cleanup work has become more difficult. Some zombies hidden in the buildings have become fish that slip through the net. Fortunately, the mobilized soldiers are equipped with a large number of magic boxes. They can control the zombies hidden in the corners. They can also be used as tools, reducing the risks taken by personnel. But in order to reduce the occurrence of accidents, Sue still ordered to postpone the advancement. Steady and steady is the safest way. Ah! Suddenly, someone in the mobilized soldiers behind screamed. It sounded particularly harsh in the night sky. Something is going on. Enemy attack. Hide. Quickly open the magic box. The mobilized soldiers at the attack point were suddenly in chaos. This is a villa that has not collapsed yet. Most of the place has been covered by vegetation and looks very dilapidated. In a panic, several mobilized soldiers rushed out of the gate of the villa. The mobilized soldier who fell behind just stepped out of the gate and was pulled back from behind by something. Then a scream sounded, but it soon came to an end. Then, it fell into endless silence. The mobilized soldiers outside the villa hid behind the broken wall and dared not breathe. After a long time, no movement was heard. Someone carefully stuck out half of his head, but could not see anything. There was a big fire with 2 zombie corpses not far away, which made the place very bright. But this also set off the darkness in the doorway more pure. It was like a huge mouth that swallowed life, waiting for food to fall into the trap. Gulp. The sound of swallowing saliva due to nervousness came one after another. Did you see what it was? No, I didn't see anything at all. Where's the magic box? Wasn't it opened? It's open. It's always open. The first one to be attacked was Zio-san, who was carrying the magic box. Several mobilized soldiers gathered together and spoke at once. Due to excessive tension, their tongues were a little shaky when they spoke. "What should we do? What should we do?" someone asked with a look of helplessness. Everything went too smoothly in the early stage. Now that they encountered something that the magic box could not control, they suddenly became at a loss. The key question is, in this place where the zombies are entrenched, are there any other living things? And they can't be seen or touched? This is even more terrifying. Report quickly. I'm afraid only the special forces can solve this problem, a rather mature mobilized soldier immediately suggested. Yes. Report quickly. The mobilized soldier in charge immediately came to his senses. Before the expedition, they had been instructed that any irresistible enemy situation must be reported immediately. Isn't that the case now? Soon, the situation here was reported. Even Su Wei saw this message. The magic box is invalid, and an invisible enemy. This couldn't help but arouse Su Wei's great interest. What could it be? Dongzi, you keep watching, I'll be back soon. Su Wei glanced at the still stable battle line, and said to Su Xiaodong's communication channel. Okay, boss. Su Xiaodong naturally also saw the abrupt message. This is the first accident since the war began. It is normal for the boss to care. As he said, Su Wei accelerated and flew towards the coordinates of the incident. When Su Wei arrived at the scene, a special forces team of 10 people had arrived there and surrounded the villa. The captain was asking several mobilized soldiers on the scene for details. Buzz, Su Wei retracted his thrusters and landed steadily on the side. Boss, the captain of the special forces team immediately ran over and saluted Su Wei. The Snapdragon power armor is Su Wei's exclusive customized power armor, and everyone naturally recognized it at a glance. What's more, Su Wei did not raise his helmet and visor. Well, what's the specific situation? Su Wei glanced at the mobilized soldiers with admiration on their faces, waved to them, and asked the captain. Report, boss. They were attacked by an unknown attack while cleaning this villa. The captain immediately told the situation one by one. In case there was anything missing, he waved to the leader of the mobilized soldiers to come over and explain together. Chapter 527, Killing the Python. It turned out that a mobilization team came to this abandoned villa. Routine cleaning. First, to confirm that there were no zombies hiding in it and being missed. Second, to confirm whether there were any usable supplies. If there were, they would be marked in detail on the map. It would be convenient for a future collection. If there was no usable value, it would be marked in other colors. However, not long after they entered, a young man named Sun who was carrying the magic box disappeared. And it was the kind that disappeared quietly. At first, everyone thought he went to the bathroom. But they searched the entire villa and couldn't find him. At this time, the second one was attacked. He was pulled to the beam out of thin air and then disappeared. The remaining few people were scared and fled in panic. The last person, who had stepped out of the door, still couldn't escape the bad luck. But even so, no one could see clearly what attacked them. Have you scanned it? Su Wei asked after listening. Power armor is equipped with a scanning system that can detect vital signs such as heat sources. Yes, boss, but no suspicious heat source was found, the Special Forces captain replied. After they arrived here and sealed off the scene, they immediately conducted a scan. Unfortunately, nothing was found. It was as if there was no life in the villa. If someone hadn't witnessed the attack with their own eyes, they would have thought it was an illusion. Interesting, Su Wei's curiosity grew even more after hearing this. Captain, there is a new discovery. Just as Su Wei was about to go in to find out, a Special Forces member ran over. What discovery? The Special Forces member asked hurriedly. Look, the Special Forces member stretched out his right hand. There was a scale nearly the size of a palm in the palm of his right hand covered with armor. Overall, the scale is almost transparent, with only a gray-white outline. But if you look closely, you will find that there are small hexagons on the scales, each with a faint rainbow color. As the angle changes, different colors can be presented. It looks quite beautiful. This seems to be the scale of a snake, but it's too big. How big is that snake? The leader of the mobilized soldiers recognized the type of scale at a glance. Although many animals have undergone mutations after the disaster. But this is the first time I have seen such a large snake scale. So, you too may have a mutant snake. Su Wei raised his hand and touched his chin and said. No wonder the heat source could not be scanned. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, of course they cannot be scanned. Of course, it is also possible that this snake scale was left by prey. Force it out for me, Su Wei gave the order after a moment of hesitation. I thought it was something extraordinary. If it is just a mutant beast, it would be boring. Yes, boss. The captain of the special forces immediately called the soldiers equipped with a flame demon power armor in the team. He set up a super-powered plasma flamethrower and sprayed it at the villa. The super-high flames instantly ignited the covering vegetation, and the entire villa was engulfed in flames. The blockaded special forces soldiers had to retreat a distance. The temperature of the flames was so high that even through the power armor, one could feel the temperature. It was foreseeable that even if the power armor was hit, it would be hard to escape the fate of being pierced. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Soon, there was a reaction in the villa. A sharp sound came, not a roar of death nor a friction of death, which made people's scalps numb. Boom. The sea of fire was suddenly knocked open, and a huge outline squeezed out from it. Get out of the way. Su Wei was quick-eyed and quick-handed, shouting and grabbing the leader of the mobilized soldiers, and quickly moved sideways. The captain of the special forces also pulled the team members to retreat quickly. Boom. Just as the few people just got out of the way, a deep groove appeared out of thin air on the ground where they were standing. It was as if it was smashed out by a huge pillar. Thank you, boss. It was not until Su Wei landed that the leader of the mobilized soldiers reacted. Looking at the huge deep groove, he stammered. If Su Wei hadn't grabbed him to dodge, I must have turned into meat paste and blended into the earth. Take your people and evacuate here first. After Su Wei put down the leader, he immediately rushed forward. Although he couldn't see, he could tell from the sound of air friction that the direction of the attack was the special forces soldier equipped with a flame demon. Due to the weight of the super plasma flamethrower, the speed of using the flame demon was a little slower. In addition, it was impossible to judge the direction of the attack. This attack was difficult to dodge. Iron Mountain. There was no time to draw the sword. Su Wei accelerated and rushed in front of the flame demon. Bang! A huge collision sound came, and people's teeth and bones were sore. Even the air was like water being vibrated, and a wave of vibration occurred. Hiss! The severe pain made the invisible thing make a sound again. The sharp sound pierced the eardrum and made people very uncomfortable. However, it did not cause any damage. The special forces soldier equipped with a flame demon also took the opportunity to retreat to the back. Don't get close, block the surroundings, don't let it run away, Su Wei shouted at the captain of the special forces who was about to come forward to support. It would be difficult to deal with this guy if he didn't break his invisibility. The captain of the special forces immediately ordered everyone to disperse, and asked the nearby mobilized soldiers to temporarily evacuate to avoid unnecessary casualties. Whoosh! The sound of air friction sounded again. It goes without saying that the attacks followed one after another. Cannon hammer. Su Wei then threw a punch. The punch hit a real object halfway. In the eyes of others, it was like Su Wei hit a wall of air. Oh my god, show your true form, Su Wei roared and drew his army. With a swish, it passed through the air, and a stream of scarlet blood immediately sprayed out. It was like digging up a water supply pipe. Hiss! The sharp sound was full of pain. The air where the blood was gushing out had a wave of water waves, and a huge mutant python as thick as two people hugged appeared. Grayish-white background with black stripes. The oval head, two cold eyes as big as bowls, with tight vertical pupils, staring fiercely in the direction of Su Wei. In the open mouth, a black snake tongue stretched and retracted. It obviously wanted to swallow the enemy who heard it. Just like the few people before. Little guy, what are you looking at? Su Wei said as he rushed up with Bojun. The mutant python also attacked like lightning, fearlessly facing Su Wei. Looking for death, at high speed, Su Wei dodged the mutant python's attack with a sideways move, and then raised his knife. Bojun dealt full damage. He directly cut off the entire head of the mutant python. The incision was as smooth as a mirror. It was not until the snake head fell to the ground that the scarlet blood gushed out. Chapter 528, Dawn. After killing the mutant python, Su Wei went straight back to the front line. The rest of the work was naturally done by the special operations team on the scene. After all, it was just an SSS-level mutant beast. Except for its special ability to be invisible, it was nothing special to Su Wei now. Even if he didn't take action, the special operations team could handle it, but it might cost a little. This little episode flashed by. It didn't have any impact on the overall situation. Such situations happen from time to time in various war zones, but they were quickly quelled by the responsible special operations team. It was insignificant. Unknowingly, dawn was approaching. A ray of light had appeared on the horizon, but it made people feel even darker. In the second half of the night, Su Wei ordered to slow down the advance, so the front line only moved forward 2 or 3 kilometers. More zombies were blocked behind the corpse wall on the front line, densely packed and squeezed tightly. "Boss, there are too many zombies. The zombie wall we built is almost overwhelmed." Su Xiaodong cut the latest drone footage to Su Wei's side. In the dark night, it was so dark that the exact number could not be seen, but the violent zombies' eyes flashed with bloodthirsty red light, and dense red dots could be seen. Not to mention people with trypophobia. Even Su Wei felt uncomfortable when he saw it. Speed up. Su Wei glanced at the time. It would be dawn soon, and the fire was almost ready. The mobilized soldiers in the back row won a short break after the buffer in the second half of the night. Now it's time to start work. "Yes, boss." Su Xiaodong immediately conveyed the order to all departments, including the East and West war zones. "This is a joint action, and we need to keep a common pace of advance and retreat to achieve the final encirclement battle." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, at this moment, a dense burst of breaking air sound came. Su Wei looked closely and his face changed slightly. He saw bone spears all over the sky shooting towards the barbarian bull line like raindrops. "Defense," Su Wei shouted hurriedly in the public channel. "With such a dense attack, even if the armor of the bull is thick, accidents will happen. Not to mention the zombie nemesis on it." Everyone who heard the order took action. The Guardian set up a large shield and instantly built a steel wall to cover the bull. Others either dodged or sought cover. There were even ghosts who broke the bone spears with electromagnetic sniper rifles. Of course, this was only a minority. After all, it is not so easy to hide a bone spear flying at high speed. It happened in a flash. The bone spears fell from the sky like rain. Most of them were blocked by the Guardian's shield, some were inserted into the ground, and some hit the target. Fortunately, most of them were protected by power armor, so as long as they hit the vital points, there was no major damage. However, there were also outstanding ones among these bone spears. They directly penetrated the Guardian shield and hit the bull it was covering. Fortunately, there were not many of them, and the accuracy of blind shooting was not high. But the damage caused was considerable. The front armor of a bull was pierced, but fortunately it was first buffered by the Guardian's shield. The bone spear was stuck just as the tip of the spear penetrated the armor. The driver in the driving seat was instantly soaked with sweat as he looked at the bone spear so close. This is really a disaster. But it was too exciting. I was scared to death. Another bull was not so lucky. The bone spear just passed through the gap of the Guardian shield and nailed it directly to the ground. The bone spear penetrated from the co-pilot position, and the co-pilot on it died instantly. Another bull was directly hit on the roof. Although there were no casualties, the zombie nemesis was damaged and lost its function instantly. The zombie wall at that point collapsed instantly, and the zombies poured in like a flood. Fortunately, the spare bull came up in time and managed to stabilize the zombie wall at a position less than 100 meters away. The super soldiers here immediately rushed up, firing their weapons crazily, trying to push the battle line back to the front line. Boom! At this moment, a bull was hit by the energy core and exploded directly. A large fireball with a diameter of 100 meters was formed. The surrounding super soldiers were thrown out like kites with broken strings. The zombie wall at this point collapsed instantly, and the zombies poured in like a flood. At this moment, the shock wave generated by the explosion was affected within hundreds of meters. It was impossible for the spare bull to catch up and suppress it. Seeing that the zombie group was about to break through the battle line, a blue light fell from the sky. 8 extreme shock. Boom! It turned out that Su Wei in midair directly opened his big move. He punched into the pile of zombies. The powerful key force plus the acceleration of the thrusters made the whole person fall like a high explosive bomb. A large area of zombies was directly blown away. A large piece of open space was exposed. The zombies behind were also knocked down by the shock wave, and their charge was abruptly interrupted. However, the zombies behind didn't care about anything. For a moment, it turned into a rolling gourd. It's not that Su Wei was alone against 10,000. He resisted most of the zombies. The remaining ones were intercepted by the super soldiers who came after hearing the noise. With their super combat power and thick power armor, They formed a human wall to suppress the flood of zombies. However, this suppression was only temporary. After all, there were too many zombies. Even if Su Wei raised his 3-meter-long sword and chopped them madly, he felt that he could not kill them all. Dongzi, let's go to the trampoline, Su Wei shouted at Su Xiaodong's communicator while chopping the zombies. Got it, boss. Su Xiaodong immediately ordered the drone to lock the coordinates. Then he sent the coordinates to the sweepers in the back row. The sweepers who were ready immediately opened the ammunition compartment, revealing rows of dense swarm rockets. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, it's impolite not to return the favor. The swarm, with the anger of the Phaeton army, smashed the target locked by the drone like raindrops. Boom boom boom, groups of explosion clouds rose on the battle line. The explosion points were all places where the battle line was in danger. In an instant, the violent explosion took away a large number of ordinary zombies and low-level zombies. The pressure on the battle line dropped sharply. On Su Wei's side, the backup bull had rushed up and recontrolled a large number of zombies. With the help of Su Wei and others, the battle line was stabilized again. However, there was no time to grieve for the sacrificed comrades. The second wave of bone spears from the warthog attacked again, and the number continued to increase. Fortunately, everyone was prepared this time. The Guardians even shrank the formation and overlapped the double shields in their hands to build a stronger protection for the bull. In this way, even the high-level warthog could not penetrate at such a distance. As long as the bull was saved, the rest would be much easier. Chapter 529, Zombies Understand Military Strategy. Dongzi, pull out those damned warthogs for me. Su Wei returned to the air above the battle line. The longsword in his hand and the armor on his body were dripping with scarlet blood. It shows how fierce the battle just now was. Yes, boss. Su Xiaodong quickly dispatched a drone group to fly deeper into the hinterland. The attack range of the warthog should be about 1 kilometer. The control radius of the barbarian bull is only 500 meters, which is twice as much. Therefore, the warthog can completely attack the barbarian bull outside the control range. This is very unpleasant. What made Su Xiaodong even more unhappy was that the 2-kilometer depth of the battle line was the range of his drone cruising, but the attack of these warthogs came without any signs. Isn't this a slap in his face in front of the boss? Therefore, these warthogs must die, and die miserably. However, the display gave Su Xiaodong a loud slap in the face again. The drone group cruised to 3 kilometers outside the battle line, but still did not find a large group of warthogs. Occasionally, a few were found, but they were also malnourished waste. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, the warthogs never stopped attacking. If the Guardian shield was not thick enough, I don't know how many bulls would be scrapped. But the bulls were saved, but the casualties of the super soldiers increased significantly. After all, except for the Guardian's heavy power armor, the others are only medium and light armor, which are still a little thin against the bone spears of the warthogs. Dongzi, what do you do? Su Wei looked at the increasing number of casualties and got angry at Su Xiaodong. Oh, boss. Hey, got it, boss. Look at this time. The drone finally captured the source of the bone spears. The distance is actually not far, just 1 kilometer away, but it is not on the ground, but underground. In the playback picture, the previous round of volleys came out from underground and even penetrated the zombies on the surface. Sewer, after the picture was enlarged, Su Wei couldn't help but exclaimed. In a place where zombies were relatively sparse, an uncovered manhole cover was exposed. A flesh-red pipe stood there. Just now, a bone spear shot out from here, and then used the principle of parabola to hit the bull. Damn, this guy is really a genius. He actually used the huge drainage channels in the city as a troop transport route. Perfectly avoided the detection of drones. And it also has its own shield, making it difficult for the Phaeton army to attack. There are not just 1 or 2, but hundreds and thousands, scattered throughout the sewers in this area. There is at least 1 warthog under each manhole cover. Even if the special forces are powerful, they cannot launch a devastating attack on these enemies hiding in underground bunkers in a short period of time. Unless they use earth-penetrating bombs. Otherwise, it is difficult to effectively attack them under such circumstances. It's not that Phaeton doesn't have earth-penetrating bombs, and there are a lot of them. Su Wei has picked up a lot of them from the modern world. Although the power is not as strong as those in the wasteland world, it is still possible to penetrate such a big road. Before the war, we considered that there were zombies in the sewers, and there would be many of them, and it might even be a zombie nest. But we didn't expect that the enemy had evolved to such an extent. They already knew how to take advantage of the weather and the terrain. There was no major action overnight, obviously, to mobilize the warthogs in the sewers to carry out the current strike. And they chose dawn, the most careless time. It's true that zombies are not scary, but zombies who know military tactics are scary. Use earth-penetrating bombs, blow up these bastards, leave no one alive. Su Wei didn't hesitate too much. If the city is destroyed, it can be demolished and rebuilt. If people are gone, everything is gone. Now every population resource in the wasteland is very important to Phaeton. Yes, boss. Su Xiaodong was waiting for this sentence. Without saying a word, he asked people to take action immediately. I saw a group of assaulters, each carrying an earth-penetrating bomb, flying straight to the coordinates sent back by the drone. Earth-penetrating bombs rely on strong kinetic energy to drill into the ground. But the attackers were flying at an altitude of only 100 meters. It was obvious that the bunker-buster bombs could not exert their best power at this altitude. But this was just an ordinary city road. As long as they could penetrate 1 or 2 meters, it would be fine. At that time, the delayed fuse would automatically detonate the bomb and blow up the ground directly. Even if they could not kill the warthogs, they could destroy their shelters. However, before the attackers could get close to the warthogs, a group of flying zombies rushed out from the top of a nearby high-rise building and attacked the attackers directly. Air cover, interlaced fire, the commander's voice sounded in the channel. The attackers hurriedly changed their formation, 2 by 2, and used the super-powered electromagnetic infantry guns in their weapons to shoot. Although the flying zombies were flexible and flew at a higher altitude than the attackers, their defense capabilities were not very good. One bullet could knock them down. Therefore, when the attackers were firing at full power, it was difficult for the flying zombies to get close. Occasionally, some of them would get close, but they would either pierce their bat-like wings or be blasted into sieve by the rain of bullets. Roar, seeing that the interception was ineffective. The flying zombies quickly climbed up and flew over the heads of the attackers. Then they threw down tumors wrapped in highly corrosive liquids. Under the acceleration of gravity, the speed was still very fast. Many attackers were splashed. Fortunately, the surface of the power armor has been coated, and the highly corrosive liquid attack is ineffective. It will only flow down the surface of the armor. The attackers took the opportunity to kill dozens of flying zombies. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, another wave of bone spurs was launched. However, this time the warthog directly gave up the bow protected by the guardians, and locked onto the attackers who were rushing towards this side. Dodge, the leader of the attackers shouted hurriedly, and activated the overload mode of the thrusters to double their own speed. Other attackers followed suit, drawing regular trajectories in the air. However, the number of bone spears was too many. In one round of attack, more than a dozen attackers were hit and turned into a meteor falling to the ground. You know, there are mountains of corpses below. And it is difficult to get up again even with the protection of power armor. Boom boom, after landing, the attackers chose to self-destruct directly. The bunker-penetrating bombs in their hands were detonated together. No one wants to become a zombie, neither human nor ghost. Death has become the final destination. In an instant, more than a dozen circular spots appeared on the ground. They were the traces left after the explosion and the zombies were cleared. However, these traces will soon disappear and eventually be covered by the zombies that surge up. Speed up, charge, the leader of the attackers roared angrily and rushed up. The team members did not have time to feel sad and upset, and rushed up. Only by destroying the warthog before it shoots again can the casualties be minimized. Chapter 530, Sky Hunt. Team 4, get in position. Team 8, get in position. Team 10, get in position. With a heart full of grief and indignation, the raiders finally rushed to the area where the warthog was hiding. Below was a large area of zombies, and if you didn't look carefully, you couldn't find the flesh-red tubes hidden in it. Drop bombs, the leader of the raiders gave an order. Hundreds of earth-penetrating bombs were thrown vertically from a height of more than 100 meters. Retreat. Then, the leader of the raiders gave another order. All the raiders accelerated back again. The flying zombies in the sky chased them unwillingly. The raiders fought and retreated. Without the burden of earth-penetrating bombs, the raiders could exert their outstanding combat power, hitting the flying zombies like dumplings. On the other side, the earth-penetrating bombs, with the acceleration of gravity, smashed directly into the ground, and the height of more than 100 meters disappeared in a flash. The zombies below were still watching the bombs falling from the sky, not knowing that the bombs could kill a person, no, a corpse. The zombies at the point where the bunker buster bombs landed were immediately in trouble, and were smashed into blood foam. Bang-chi bunker buster bombs fell to the ground, and were nailed directly into the ground like steel nails. Depending on the landing point, angle, wind speed, and the density of zombies, the depth of the bunker buster bombs into the ground varies. Some are more than 2 meters deep, and some are less than 1 meter. But it doesn't matter. The time delay fuse has been activated. According to the position calculated by the intelligent brain, these hundreds of bunker buster bombs are enough to raise this area to the ground. Even if they can't kill all the warthogs, they can bury them alive in the ground and make them lose their ability to attack. The zombies looked at the bunker buster bombs that were inserted into the ground one by one, and soon lost interest, turning their heads and squeezing towards the battle line. Relatively speaking, they are only interested in moving objects. These stationary iron lumps have no appeal in their eyes. Boom boom boom. Almost at the same time, all the bunker-penetrating bombs exploded together, shaking the earth. The explosion covered an area of dozens of kilometers. The violent blast wave uncovered the ground, destroyed buildings, and blew up zombies. The whole scene was exciting. "Oh, good job!" Comfortable huge cheers broke out in the Phaeton army. The big explosion 1 kilometer away can be seen even with the naked eye, not to mention the assistance of power armor. What's more, there are pictures sent back by drones, which are clear enough to show everyone the results of the operation in all directions. There is no doubt. The retreating attackers were also cheered and worshipped by the crowd. Although dozens of soldiers were killed or injured, the result was gratifying. After the explosion, the warthog was completely silenced. Let the bull front be consolidated and strengthened again. As for the damaged barbarian bulls, the star stones must be recovered and sent back to the base. The newly offline barbarian bulls will also be continuously supplied to the major war zones. Of course, this will be distributed according to the damage of each war zone. Roar. At this moment, a roar came faintly. It can be heard from a distance. But the anger contained in it is full. Can't stand it anymore. Hisue hovered in the air, looking in the direction of the roar, which was also the direction of the center of Jinquan City. There is no doubt that the owner of this voice is an Emperor-level alien. During the last corpse tide, Sue killed an Emperor-level alien with a Black Phoenix No. 1 machine. At that time, he had not yet reached the strength of the 8th level. Now, he has not only reached the peak of the 8th level, but also has weapons and armor with Blue Engine. Even without the help of the Black Phoenix mecha, Sue is confident that he can rely on his own strength to kill the Emperor-level alien with a big knife. The corpse crystal of the Emperor-level alien. Enough to create another 8th level or 8-star super strong man. Thinking of this, Sue couldn't help but feel a little more expectant. Looking forward to meeting this Emperor-level alien who knows the art of war as soon as possible. Fuck, at this moment, Su Xiaodong's curse suddenly sounded in the communicator. What's the matter, Dongzi? Sue asked curiously. Oh my god, boss, these flying zombies are not martial, and they are taking their anger out on my drones. Su Xiaodong realized that he had just forgotten to close the connection with Sue. He hurriedly explained with a smile. It turned out that the bombing raiders successfully retreated, and the earth-penetrating bombs blew up the warthog position. The Emperor-level alien who knows the art of war was furious. He immediately let the flying zombies attack those drones, trying to destroy everything related to humans. In a moment of carelessness, dozens of reconnaissance drones were immediately crushed by the flying zombies and fell from the sky with black smoke. This caused Su Xiaodong to curse. Oh my god, what's the big deal? You can handle it yourself, Sue said with little interest. It's just a few drones. If the production line in the base is fully operational, thousands of drones can be produced in a day. That thing is not expensive. Yes, boss, here little guys, I will play with you. Sue didn't care about the damage of the drones, but Su Xiaodong hated it to the bone, as if his favorite toy was broken. Isn't it? These drones are all treasures in his heart. How can he not feel aggrieved when dozens of them were destroyed in a flash? Little guys, release the air hunter for me, Su Xiaodong ordered viciously. Air hunter, as the name suggests, means air hunter. It is an armed combat drone. If those aerial reconnaissance drones are Su Xiaodong's treasures, then this air hunter is his biggest treasure. Soon, A group of hundreds of slightly larger drones took off from the Phaeton army and rushed straight towards the group of flying zombies that were still hunting the reconnaissance drones. Roar seeing the new drones joining, the flying zombies immediately surrounded them. In the perception, isn't it just a little bigger? But it is also a human thing and needs to be destroyed. This is the execution of zombies. However, these larger drones are equipped with weapons. Before the flying zombies get close, the electromagnetic infantry guns mounted on them start shooting. A wave of concentrated fire killed more than a dozen stubborn flying zombies. Other flying zombies, driven by instinct, made evasive movements in the air. They successfully avoided the fire coverage. But is that the end? Whoosh! Before the flying zombies can complete the evasive action, the swift missiles mounted on the air hunter lock on to the target and launch. Boom boom boom! Dozens of dazzling fireworks suddenly appeared in the sky. Every firework is the final shine of a flying zombie. Chapter 531 Exploding Zombies. The wheel slid, and a new swift missile was mounted on the launcher. Each air hunter has a load capacity of 4 missiles, so there can be a few more waves. However, the flying zombies are not stupid. They flapped their wings wildly and quickly distanced themselves from the air hunter. And they used the broken building to cover themselves. It must be said that flying things are not simple. Do you think this will work? Go. Suzayadoing looked at the embarrassed flying zombies and suddenly felt like he had made a comeback. But this was not enough. So he ordered the air hunter to start the pursuit mode. Controlled by artificial intelligence, the air hunter turned into a real air hunter and chased the scattered flying zombies. The situation in the sky reversed instantly. Before, the flying zombies were chasing the reconnaissance drones all over the sky. Now, it is the air hunter chasing the flying zombies all over the sky. This scene made Suzayadoing laugh and feel very proud. Okay, Dongzi, stop playing and be alert. Suwei shook his head. He quickly reminded him. Suzayadoing's main task is to have a full view of the field, not to chase flying zombies all over the sky. Yes, boss. Suzayadoing quickly restrained his laughter. Damn, I forgot to turn off the microphone again. Although he was a little unwilling, Suzayadoing quickly ordered the recall of the air hunter. Then he replenished the lost reconnaissance drones to conduct reconnaissance and alert of the whole field. However, the air hunter did not fly back to the cabin, but cruised near the battle line. To prevent the flying zombies from coming again. All troops speed up, Suwei continued to order. At this time, dawn had passed and the sky was bright. The bonus of darkness to zombies gradually subsided. On the contrary, light brought a new day to mankind. As one rises and the other falls, the morale of the Phaeton army increased greatly. It was just right to take advantage of the daytime to speed up the advancement of the battle line. For a time, the 3 major war zones started the work of advancing the battle line in full swing. It is worth mentioning that the East and West war zones were uneventful last night. In addition to the fact that the number of zombies was a little more than that of the South Zone, there were no high-level zombies and alien species participating in the war. This made the losses in the East and West war zones much lower than that of Suwei's side. However, Suwei still told the 2 women not to take it lightly. After all, he had already smelled the breath of the Emperor-level alien species. Adding the Emperor-level alien species that appeared during the zombie tide, there were 2 of them. By the same token, there cannot be 2 tigers in one mountain, which means that there are more advanced alien species in Jinquan City. This is also the real purpose of Suwei's trip. Soon, Phaeton's side advanced to the place where the Earth-penetrating bombs were rampant before. The original shape could no longer be seen. But at this moment, it was covered with zombie corpses. The ruins looked even more bumpy. When the barbarian bull rolled over, it would leave 2 deep blood marks. Then, the super soldier stepped on the blood marks and moved forward. When the power armor stepped on it, it was like stepping in the mud. Occasionally, when encountering a zombie that is not completely dead, someone will come forward to make up a knife. Then, continue to move forward. This is the battlefield of the wasteland world. Just like this, step by step, the 3 armies steadily approached the city center of Jinquan City. At this time, 2 corpse mountains appeared in the west. This seemingly invincible zombie is now not worth mentioning to Suwei and his men. As long as they find its body and destroy it, the corpse mountain will collapse without attack. Therefore, the 2 corpse mountains were quickly destroyed and did not cause any trouble to the western front. There was not even a single casualty. At the same time, A new type of zombie appeared on the eastern battlefield. Their bellies are as big as drums, with thin skin and large fillings. The high bulging abdomen almost makes the body into an inverted C shape. But they have the ability to sprint short distances, and they are very fast. When they rush to the front, they will explode, and even a headshot cannot stop it. The bulging abdomen is full of that kind of highly corrosive liquid. With a barrier of the barbarian bull, the exploding corpse cannot directly attack humans. So, the aliens commanded the land tanks to transform into catapults and throw the exploding zombies directly at the Long Hu army's position. They all exploded in the air, and highly corrosive liquids would fall from the air to the Long Hu army. It was like creating a corrosive rain on the top of the Long Hu army's head. Fortunately, all HT-1 armors were equipped with anti-corrosion coatings, which greatly increased their resistance to such exploding zombies, otherwise it would be a really tricky problem. But the continuous exploding zombies made this corrosive rain continue. This is not a solution. The coating can resist corrosion, but over time, liquids will invade the gaps and cause some damage. Once some parts of the power armor are corroded, it may be unable to move. And the corrosion damage will continue to expand until it threatens the personal safety of the driver. Sister Xiaoling, this won't work. Soon, a member of the Bloody Rose connected to Zhangling's communicator and complained. Some power armors have shown signs of corrosion. Although it is still very minor and does not affect the action for the time being, if it continues like this, the corrosion will definitely invade the core and cause considerable damage. Well, I know, Zhangling, driving the Black Phoenix number 2, could not help but fall into silence. The exploding zombies are not scary, but they are endless, which is very annoying. Zhangling wanted to drive the mecha over and flatten those annoying flies. But we have to consider the Emperor-level aliens that may appear at any time, or higher-level existences. Therefore, the Black Phoenix number 2 cannot move and must be on guard. We can't throw away the watermelon to pick up sesame seeds. But if we leave it alone, the consequences of corrosion may be unpredictable. In addition, it has been confirmed that these corrosive liquids will also evaporate into toxic gases. If humans inhale too much, they will also cause poisoning. But what should we do? At this moment, Zhangling felt a slight darkening in front of her eyes, and subconsciously looked up, only to see a layer of layers coming over, blocking the sun and casting a large shadow on the ground. It gives people a bleak feeling. Got it. Zhangling couldn't help but brighten up again. It's not that the clouds have dispersed, but that there is an idea. Rain. As long as it rains, the corrosive liquids can be diluted, thus eliminating the damage caused by the corrosive liquids. As for how to make it rain, that is the job of scientists. Zhanglingzi asked someone to contact Ji Tongguang of the Ministry of Science and Technology. Tell them that the eastern battlefield is in urgent need of rain. The Ministry of Science and Technology immediately rushed after receiving the information. Artificial rainfall is not difficult. As long as the right time is chosen, dry ice, silver iodide, salt powder, and other catalysts can be spread into the clouds by airplanes and rockets to make the clouds precipitate or increase the amount of precipitation, and then rainfall can be formed. Although Phaeton has no airplanes or rockets, it has the Kunpeng intercontinental ballistic missile. It is enough to serve as a carrier for transporting catalysts. Therefore, the Ministry of Science and Technology raced against time to replace the 3 Kunpengs with explosives. Since the distance was not far, a section of the fuel section was also dismantled to increase the filling of catalysts. It was in full swing. Chapter 532 Unique. After intensive operations, the Ministry of Science and Technology took more than 20 minutes to complete the transformation of 3 Kunpeng intercontinental ballistic missiles and erected them on the launch pad. Although there is no satellite guidance, manual positioning guidance can be used. Soon, the Eastern Theater Command transmitted the coordinates. Just enter the coordinates into the program. Launch. Ji Tongguang ordered the launch without any hesitation. The 2 modified Kunpeng intercontinental ballistic missiles took off into the sky. The streamlined program did not change the trajectory in the air and flew straight to the coordinate point. 2 missiles are enough for local rainfall, and the remaining 1 is naturally a spare. If it is not enough, continue to modify it. Soon, the Eastern Theater Command saw 2 long white dragons, cutting through the sky and rushing straight to the top of everyone's head. Boom boom. After arriving at the predetermined coordinates, 2 explosions were heard in the sky, like thunder. For a while, the wind and clouds met, and light rain fell from the sky. Then it was moderate rain, and finally it was a heavy rain. Oh my god. This old G is really too real. He added so much stuff. Now, not only the corrosive liquid of the exploding zombies is diluted, but also the corrosive liquid on the power armor is washed away. Speed up the process, press on. Zhang Ling seized the opportunity and immediately ordered. The other two war zones also accelerated the speed to cooperate with the eastern side to clear out the exploding zombies. The heavy rain in the eastern war zone lasted for more than half an hour, and then turned into drizzle. Although the rain stopped, the Longtang army also succeeded in the assault and annihilated the exploding zombies in the original place. The battlefield was muddy. Not only the blurred flesh and blood of the zombies, but also the corrosive liquids that the exploding zombies burst out before they died. These liquids are really terrible, and even the corpses of the zombies will be corroded beyond recognition. This actually saved some effort for the mobilized soldiers behind, but cleaning up these corrosive liquids would be a headache. But, who cares? As long as Jinquan City is captured, there will be plenty of time in the future. Anyway, the medical department can prepare neutralizing agents to neutralize these toxic substances, and the later treatment will naturally be simpler. When the small victory news from the Eastern Theater came, the Science and Technology Department couldn't help but cheer loudly. This is equivalent to them also participating in the war. How can it not make people excited? For a while, the base was full of energy. Degree, it was dusk again in a blink of an eye. Under the dim sunlight, people felt very tired. Especially since everyone has been fighting for 2 days and 1 night, in such an environment, they felt even more touched. Fortunately, the intensity of the battle has not been particularly large so far, and the major legions still have spare strength. It's just that the mobilized soldiers who were responsible for the cleanup were a little exhausted. Seeing that the time was almost up, Su Wei ordered a pause. Give everyone a breathing time and prepare for the arrival of night. Because night has a natural bonus to zombies, naturally you need plenty of energy to deal with it. Gulp. Su Wei opened his mouth and drank a bottle of energy potion. Although he could not improve with strength, his whole body was wrapped in a warm current, and his fatigue was swept away instantly. Before this expedition, he had already thought of the severity of the supply problem. There are millions of zombies in the city, and once the war starts, there is no rest. Therefore, except for the mobilized soldiers who have unified material rations, all soldiers on the front line must bring their own. And energy potions have become standard. Because after being strengthened, the biggest significance of food is to replenish energy. As long as it can provide sufficient energy, it is not a problem for them even if they don't eat or drink. Only Su Wei, the rich man, dared to think and do to use energy potions as dry food. It's really a scorpion shit, unique, poisonous, one. At this time, other soldiers also drank the energy potion. Some even brought some dry food with them and stuffed it into their mouths to chew. It's just a simple mouthful. Because before the war, a death order was issued that no one could leave their post for any reason, unless the superiors transferred personnel, they must stick to it. Such an order is of course to prevent accidents. Fortunately, the power armor has a complete life support system, which can solve the problem of eating, drinking, defecating and urinating. Not to mention, under such conditions, many people have broken through their limits and advanced. This is not a bad thing. Dong 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 dong. Just when everyone was about to enter the night mode, there was a faint sound of the earth shaking in the air. The zombies that had gradually shown signs of frenzy suddenly quieted down and silently retreated a distance, in a uniform and silent manner. The zombies controlled by the bow look very abrupt. Alert, Su Wei, who was hovering in the air, hurriedly ordered the bull to calm down the zombie wall and not to follow up. At the same time, his body also tense up. Because 2 powerful auras were approaching this side. If the guess is correct, they should be 2 Emperor-level aliens. But the device on the roof of the bull slowed down, and the zombies controlled by it also quieted down. Standing quietly in place, dumbfounded. Boom boom boom, the vibration sound became clearer and clearer. Crash. Suddenly, the ruins of the tall buildings were pushed down, and a tall and thin, and a short and fat high-level alien appeared in front of everyone. Of course, this is only a relative description. Because the short and fat alien is at least 8 or 9 meters tall, and the thin and tall one is more than 10 meters. Walking out of the sea of corpses, it is like a crane standing out among chickens. The relatively short and fat Emperor-level alien is wrapped in a black, thick stratum corneum. Obviously, he evolved from the land tank species. But his ability is definitely much higher than that of the land tank. His hands are alienated and look particularly thick. From a distance, he looks like a chimpanzee with hair removed. Especially on the head, the black stratum corneum is so thick that it bulges slightly, as if it has a helmet. Let's call it a big chimpanzee. And the thin and tall emperor-level alien is full of lightness. Without skin, the blood-red muscles are directly exposed to the air, and even thick blood vessels can be seen densely distributed in them. In comparison, its leg muscles are more developed. It can be predicted that this guy must be good at running and jumping. His hands are alienated, without palms, but replaced by two sharp bone spurs. It feels like a blade warrior. It is indeed two emperor-level aliens. And two were sent out at once, which shows that there are hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Jinquan City. Suwei's brows could not help but frown slightly. "Brother, I'll help you." Before Suwei could speak, Yuna's anxious and worried voice sounded in the communicator. Two emperor-level aliens, wow. This strength is off the charts. Suwei is not only alone, but also has no mecha. "Ziona, don't move, be careful of the opponent's plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain." Suwei hurriedly stopped Yuna and said, "If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 533, A Trick. First, there was the Warthog's sneak attack, and then there was the rain of exploding zombies. It has to be said that the zombie leader of Jinquan City is not simple. Now, two emperor-level alien species suddenly appeared in the southern theater, which must be not simple. Perhaps, it is waiting for the mechas from the east and west theaters to come and join, and then focus on attacking the east and west sides. Once the east and west sides are lost, the Phaeton army will be surrounded. "Suwei, are you okay?" At this time, Zhang Ling's communicator also rang, and it was not difficult to hear that there was a strong worry in her cold voice. "Yes, of course, men can't say no." "He's Io Lingling, are you itchy? You dare to question your husband's ability? I'll give you a warning first, go back and serve the family rules." Suwei pretended to be vicious. Suwei's words immediately made Yuna laugh, and as for Zhang Ling, she spat and stopped talking. A closer look revealed that even the communicator was turned off. "Brother, you're in trouble." Sister Xia Ling is angry, Yuna couldn't help but tease playfully. After Suwei's interruption, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Since Suwei was full of confidence, they naturally didn't worry too much. "It's okay, just coax him later," Suwei said, slowly pulling out a 3-meter-long sword. "What if it doesn't work?" Yuna asked. "Then coax him twice." Suwei rushed out as he spoke. The destructive power of the two emperor-level aliens should not be underestimated, so it's better to start the battle in the zombie pile. Roar, the big black chimpanzee and the blade warrior were obviously angered by Suwei's contemptuous behavior, and they roared and came to meet him. "Brother," at this moment, Yuna didn't dare to speak again, for fear of disturbing Suwei, and could only pray silently in her heart. Although Zhang Ling turned off the communicator, her eyes were fixed on the screen switched by Su Xiaodong, and she was unwilling to relax at all. Boom boom boom, the big black chimpanzee rushed straight towards Suwei, his big hands like two war hammers, smashing towards Suwei fiercely. The blade warrior jumped up, ready to pass Suwei and directly attack the bow position behind him. They also saw that as long as they broke this thing that could interfere with their command and hint, they could annihilate all the humans in front of them. You wish, Suwei, who was in midair, had already prepared for this move. The Xiaolong thrusters were fully opened, and his body immediately turned and rushed straight towards the top of the blade warrior who jumped into the air. The sharp broken army in his hand cut through the air, leaving a dazzling blade light. Roar, the blade warrior, whose movement was blocked, roared in anger, his body suspended in the air, and a sharp bone spur immediately pierced towards Suwei. Roar, the big black chimpanzee below also accelerated to follow up, his hands like war hammers, his peaks piercing his ears, smashing towards Suwei. This immediately put Suwei in an awkward position where he could neither go up nor down. Seeing this, everyone's heart was in their throat. However, Suwei was not in a hurry, and he continued to accelerate towards the blade of the blade warrior. Bang, two individuals with completely disproportionate sizes collided with each other. The 3-meter-long broadsword seemed a little small when it slashed on the 5-meter-long blade bone spur. However, the next second, The result was jaw-dropping. The 3-meter-long broadsword was slightly blocked and then cut into the hard-bone spur. With Suwei's speed, Po-jun directly cut off a section of the tip of the bone spur. That's not all. After cutting off the bone spur, Suwei continued to move forward and flew into the sky at a speed so fast that it was faster than lightning. The Blade Warrior hadn't even recovered from the shock of the broken arm, and Suwei dragged Po-jun past its chest. A burst of blood immediately gushed out. I saw a big cut on its chest and face. Scarlet blood flowed out freely. Roar stimulated by the blood, the Blade Warrior instantly went berserk, and forgot the purpose of attacking the barbarian bull position. He chased Suwei and attacked. Seeing that his goal was achieved, Suwei immediately flew towards the pile of zombies. The big black chimpanzee on the ground also followed. Its bloated size naturally crushed everything along the way. Countless ordinary zombies and low-level zombies were trampled to death. The key is that these zombies, under its control, would not dodge at all. They served as free scavengers for Suwei. Boom! Then, the Blade Warrior jumped to the ground, and the group of zombies on the ground was instantly wiped out. Even if there were occasional survivors, they were cut into two by the furious Blade Warrior with a wave of his arm. The destructive power was really considerable. This made Suwei's eyes light up. It's a free labor, it's a waste you if you don't use it. So, Suwei started the infinite taunting mode, leading the big black gorilla and the Blade Warrior to roll around in the pile of zombies. The speed of clearing zombies was no slower than before. It was just that the bystanders were terrified. It looked like dancing on the edge of a knife. If you were not careful, you would fall into a irreversible situation. Fortunately, Suwei was skilled and brave, and he controlled every time very well. He could not only attract the hatred of the two Emperor-level zombies, but also avoid looking embarrassed. In this way, Suwei boasted that he could play all night, but the good times did not last long. The two Emperor-level zombies suddenly stopped and pricked up their ears, as if listening to something. The red in the eyes of the furious Blade Warrior also disappeared. Emperor level, Suwei couldn't help but look towards the center of Jinquan City. Roar! After a short pause, the big black gorilla and the Blade Warrior turned around and rushed towards the position of the Phaeton army. And they were divided into two groups. Obviously, they knew that only Suwei could stop them. If he tried to stop one of them, the other would rush into the position regardless of everything and destroy the barbarian bull. If the zombies lost control, humans would die on the spot. Swish! It happened in a split second. Suwei raised his hand and threw out Po-jun, while the others rushed towards the big black chimpanzee. The Blade Warrior felt a sound of breaking air from behind him and wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Po-jun hit his back like a cannonball, and the sharp blade plus Suwei's double strength talent made it indestructible. The Blade Warrior's strong muscles did not provide much protection, and he was directly pierced. Po-jun had a big hole in his chest. And then he stuck firmly in the ground, trembling. The Blade Warrior fell to the ground with an unwilling wail, and the strong inertia rolled it several times before it stopped. Blood gushed out of the hole in his chest, mixed with hard fragments. Although it was not dead yet, it seemed that all its strength had been drained away, and it fell to the ground, struggling several times but unable to get up. Extreme shock. On the other side, Suwei had already accelerated to the front of the big black chimpanzee, and directly opened his power. A punch hit its head. Chapter 534 Double Kill. The big black chimpanzee's brain was obviously not as good as the Blade Warrior's. Seeing Suwei's ultimate move, he actually stubbornly arched his head. And he used his head to block Suwei's ultimate move. What a stubborn head. Bang! The fist and the head collided, and the picture suddenly stopped. There was a sound that made people's bones numb. Snap crack! Soon, the winner was decided. The hard cuticle on the big black chimpanzee's head was bulging and cracked. Two scarlet strong muscle tissues were exposed. You can even see it trembling slightly. On the other hand, the armor on Suwei's hand was not damaged at all, and there was not even a slight deformation. The metal with blue chen gold added is awesome. Cannon hammer. Suwei took advantage of the situation and quickly followed up with a blow. Directly bombarded the muscle with a broken cuticle. Puff! The powerful fist force instantly penetrated the body and blew up the big black chimpanzee's head. Red and white things were sprayed everywhere. Boom! The big black chimpanzee, who had lost his support, was nailed into the ground by Suwei's fist. After a spasm, his huge body was dead. Suwei pulled his arm out of the muddy ground and swung it. The filth on it was immediately thrown aside, revealing the shining armor of Xianglong. Then, Su Wei came to the broken army stuck in the ground and stretched out his hand to pull it up. Then he dragged the sharp blade to the blade warrior who was still struggling. Roar, roar, roar. The blade warrior wanted to use the remaining strength to bite Su Wei in front of him, but unfortunately he was kicked aside by Su Wei. Then, he raised his hand and the knife fell. The 3-meter-long broken army extended a several-meter-long blade light and directly cut off the head of the blade warrior 1v2, Su Wei won. 2 Emperor-level corpse crystals were obtained. The entire Phaeton army's position erupted with thunderous cheers, which went straight to the sky. Yuna and Zhang Ling finally put their worries aside. The 2 war zones in the east and west that received the news were also boiling. Su Wei, their boss, their leader. One person single-handedly challenged 2 Emperor-level aliens. How powerful is this? How majestic is this? At least in the information circulating in the wasteland, it has never been heard of. For a time, the morale of the whole army was greatly boosted, and even the fatigue of 2 days and 1 night of continuous fighting disappeared instantly. Everyone felt full of strength and wanted to rush up now. Fight those zombies to the death. Compared with the cheers on the battlefield, Su Wei's side seemed extremely quiet. The layers of zombies remained silent, but every pair of eyes stared at Su Wei. It seemed very strange. Su Wei naturally felt it. This may be the one in the city center, demonstrating to him. We can't help but say no. Su Wei chose a zombie standing in the direction of the city center, pointed at him, and then made a gesture of wiping his neck. Finally, for fear that the guy didn't understand, he pointed to the body of the blade warrior lying next to him. The meaning is very clear. I want to kill you. It is a role model. Roar. Suddenly, the zombies were furious. They roared like thunder, one after another, like the waves of the sea, endless. Damn. It actually understood? Su Wei was immediately surprised. Haven't zombies lost their humanity? Now it seems that the survivors of the wasteland world don't seem to understand zombies thoroughly enough. At this time, the last ray of sunset disappeared, and night officially fell. Under the addition of darkness and the instigation of the unknown, the zombies became more violent than last night. They surged towards the battle lines of the major war zones. Su Wei had already taken off and returned to the top of the Phaeton army, returning to the state of plundering. Although everything has returned to its original state. But at this time, everyone's mentality is completely different. It's like taking a shot of chicken blood. He is full of passion. From time to time, he has to look at Su Wei. It seems that as long as he looks up at Su Wei hovering there, he can gain infinite combat power. It needs to be mentioned here. Just after Su Wei killed 2 Emperor-level alien species, drones in the east and west war zones captured the figures of the Emperor-level alien species. They did not choose to attack, but evacuated towards the city center. It can be seen that the opponent is waiting for Zhang Ling or Yuna to drive the metro to support Su Wei. Once the Black Phoenix leaves the war zone, the Emperor-level alien species will launch a surprise attack and tear the battle lines of the east and west war zones apart. It is extremely terrifying to think about it, and it makes people feel scared. Fortunately, Su Wei held on, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. After this setback, the night seemed particularly calm. In addition to the zombie group being more violent, not even a high-level zombie appeared. Did that guy choose to lie down? Su Wei looked at the battlefield situation under his feet and couldn't help guessing. If we continue at this speed, we will reach the city center early tomorrow morning. At that time, it will be the last battle to face. The last battle? Su Wei couldn't help but be stunned. Could it be that the guy is recuperating and preparing for the last battle tomorrow? Needless to say, this is another trick of waiting for the opportunity. And all the superior forces are accumulated to the end, and burst out at once. Such an enemy is really terrible. Thinking of this, Su Wei couldn't help but drink 2 more bottles of energy potion. Replenish the consumption of the battle as soon as possible. If that guy really has this idea, then he's basically no different from humans. Could there be another guy similar to the Demon King of the Demon Realm? A half-human, half-corpse hiding in the zombie group? No matter what, Su Wei will not give up. So tomorrow's battle is inevitable. So Su Wei hurriedly ordered everyone to keep the rhythm and not be radical. Save your physical strength and prepare for tomorrow's ultimate battle. At the same time, Su Wei also conveyed a speculation to Yuna and Zhang Ling. Let them be prepared. The base also received Su Wei's urgent order. Send more transport teams and send a batch of combat supplies to the front line, and make sure to arrive before dawn. In this way, All parties are preparing in full swing. Even inspired by Zhang Ling's artificial rainfall, Ji Tongguang ordered all the kunpeng in the base to be put on the launch pad and stand by, so that they could provide long-range fire support when necessary. At the same time, more than 10 human rain bombs were modified to prepare for emergencies. After all, with the existence of explosive zombies, they could create another corrosive rain at any time. This is indeed a big trouble for them with a high degree of mechanization. In this way, time passed by minute. Just as Su Wei expected, there was no ripple until dawn. Even in the second half of the night, the number of ordinary zombies decreased sharply. It gave people an illusion of powerlessness. But according to the statistics of the mobilized soldiers, the total number of zombies annihilated in the 3 war zones was only between 1 million and 2 million. It can be said that at least more than half of the zombie groups have not come out. It can be seen that tomorrow's battle will be unprecedentedly severe. Chapter 535, Surrounded. The sun shines through the night, and the dawn quietly retreats to the horizon. A new day finally arrives. The supplies in the base finally arrive at the front line at this time. The time is just right. Seeing that everything is ready, Su Wei's heart also fell back. With such preparations, as long as nothing unexpected happens, it will not be a problem to take over Jinquan City. However, just when everyone was ready to show their strength, they were forced to stop. There was nothing in front of them. Yes, except for the zombie wall controlled by the bull, there was not even a zombie in front of them. It felt like all the zombies had been slaughtered. The whole city seemed particularly quiet. Did the zombies escape? However, the 3 fronts have been encircled, and there is no sign of a large-scale migration of zombies. Although there are no troops in the north, the drones in the east and west battlefields will be responsible for the reconnaissance here, and it can be confirmed that no zombies have evacuated from the north. Did the zombies really get killed? But the data will not lie. Even if the number of last night is added, it is only half of the number. Where did these millions of zombies go? How could it disappear overnight? This doesn't make sense. Looking at the strange situation in front of him, Su Wei called a halt urgently. The entire army entered a state of full alert. Yuna, Zhang Ling, and Su Wei couldn't help but fall silent. For a moment, they had no clue. Dongzi, what's the situation? Su Wei could only put his hope on Su Xiaodong's investigation. Boss, I can't see it. At least there wasn't a single zombie on the ground. Su Xiaodong was also very anxious. Almost all the reconnaissance drones from the 3 war zones were dispatched to jointly investigate the city center, but apart from the mess on the ground, there was no trace of discovery. If there were no traces of zombie activity, I would have thought that there was no corpse here for a long time. No on the ground, could it be underground? Su Wei couldn't help thinking so. Urban buildings are generally equipped with huge underground facilities, which should not be a problem to accommodate millions of people. But the question is, why are the zombies hiding? What's the point? It's not that hiding can avoid the army's clearing. Isn't this a case of catching a turtle in a jar? A zombie leader who can use so many strategies should not use such a stupid method for the final resistance. Dongzi, blow them up, blow them out for me. Su Wei's eyes turned cold and he ordered Su Xiaodong. We will know if they are hiding underground. If they don't want to be buried alive, they have to come out obediently. Yes, boss. Up, boss. What should we do this time? Su Xiaodong asked. The underground buildings here are basically several meters deep, and the flying height of the assaulter is obviously not enough. Go to the Sky Tyrant, fly as high as you can. Su Wei made the decision directly. Yes, boss. Su Xiaodong was immediately excited. He was finally going to use his super baby, so excited. Sky Tyrant is also a drone, but it is more advanced than Sky Hunter. It is larger in size, has a heavier load, and flies at a higher altitude. It is basically the same as a fighter plane. This is also the latest achievement of the base. Soon, a number of heavy trucks drove up, and the rear compartments opened, revealing the air domination drones loaded with bunker buster bombs. Under the ejection device, the air domination was like an eagle leaving its nest, spreading its wings and rushing into the sky. In the blink of an eye, it climbed to a height of nearly 1,000 meters. The sky was also very calm, and no flying zombies appeared. The accompanying air hunter was also useless. Drop the bomb. After reaching the predetermined position, an order was given. The cabin of the air domination was opened, and the bunker buster bomb was thrown out immediately. Under the action of gravity, The bunker buster bomb immediately turned upside down. Then, the bunker buster bomb was activated, and the thrusters plus gravity acceleration shot towards the ground like sharp arrows. In a blink of an eye, dozens of bunker buster bombs broke through the surface and nailed several meters underground. Boom boom. Immediately afterwards, the delayed fuse detonated the bomb, and a dull sound suddenly came from the ground. Although the ground was not blown up, huge depressions appeared visible to the naked eye. Some dilapidated buildings collapsed one after another. Some places that were bombed into the underground space even directly formed a huge deep pit. However, there was still no harvest. Not a single zombie hair was seen. Such a result made Suwei's worries even more intense. Although this was only the first round of tentative attacks, the three parties dropped dozens of earth-penetrating bombs, and the explosion range also covered several kilometers. But there was no reaction at all. This can only mean that the zombie group has indeed disappeared. How did they do it? It really made Suwei puzzled. Boss, do you want to continue? Su Xiaodong was also stunned by the result in front of him. What's going on? Did they transform into zombies? Continue, Suwei gritted his teeth and said. Anyway, they're all earth-penetrating bombs for free, so use them first. However, this time the coordinates are closer to the central area. Woo woo woo. Before Su Xiaodong could execute the order, a loud alarm suddenly sounded in the back. Dongzi, send half of the reconnaissance drones to rush over. Suwei's face changed drastically, but he was still careful and did not transfer all the reconnaissance drones. He left half of them and continued to stare at the direction of the city center. Yes, boss, the loud alarm sounded, so Su Xiaodong could not take care of his big baby. He quickly dispatched half of the reconnaissance drones to fly to the rear where the alarm sounded. In order to prevent accidents, he also carefully dispatched several air hunters to follow. The other two war zones encountered the same situation. Yuna and Zhangling also followed Suwei's arrangement and dispatched half of their forces to conduct reconnaissance. Boss, we are surrounded. You don't know until you see it, and you will be shocked when you see it. The picture that Su Xiaodong cut over made Suwei also shocked. I saw a large number of zombies appearing behind the mobilized soldiers positioned several kilometers away. They were densely packed and dark, with a number of millions. Fortunately, a small number of reconnaissance drones were also deployed in the rear for monitoring, otherwise I would have to wait until the zombies approached before they were discovered. Fuck, how did they get to the back? Suwei was stunned. In view of the warthog's sneak attack, Suwei ordered all the sewers along the way to be blown up. There is no way they could get to the back through the sewers. So how did they get to the back? Space-time transfer? The question is there such a powerful ability? And transfer millions of zombies at a time? Boss, look, they came out of the tunnel. Soon, Su Xiaodong found the source of these zombies through the additional reconnaissance drone. They came out from several huge deep holes on a flat ground. Just like a burst underground water pipe, water rushed out. Chapter 536 Drilling a Hole. All the spare barbarian bulls should go up, Suwei ordered without hesitation. The enemy blocked the retreat route before they could even explore the city center. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. Soon, the spare barbarian bulls built another battle line behind the front line. All zombies that entered the range were controlled and used as a human wall to resist the zombies that kept appearing behind. Fortunately, there was a wave of replenishment in the early morning this morning, and the number of barbarian bulls was relatively sufficient. Otherwise, it would be dangerous. A large number of mobilized soldiers dropped the supplies in their hands and ran desperately to the newly built positions. Supplies can be searched again, but life is only one. Fortunately, the mobilized soldiers were equipped with a large number of magic boxes, which played a great role in dealing with the zombies that suddenly approached. It bought precious time for the mobilized soldiers to retreat. Of course, it is not to say that they were unscathed, but relatively speaking, the casualties were very small. In addition, Suwei sent some super soldiers and wizards to support. Finally, the mobilized soldiers were withdrawn into the temporary positions without any danger. Roar! Just then, a loud roar sounded in the city center. Dense zombies came out from the dark corners everywhere, and the number quickly increased to millions. They pressed towards the three armies in a mighty manner. From this, it seems that Suwei and his men have seriously underestimated the number of zombies in Jinquan City. Fuck, Suwei couldn't help but burst out a swear word. It's really an old cunning guy. This is obviously to lure the enemy deep into the depths, and then attack from the front and back. The 36 stratagems were played to the fullest by this guy. Could it be that this guy was a general before he turned into a zombie? Sue couldn't help thinking so. It's a pity that the other party hasn't revealed his true identity yet, so I don't know what the specific situation is. Dongzi, contact Ji Tongguang and blow up those holes for me. Sue's heart was furious. No one has ever dared to touch his butt. Yes, boss. Su Xiaodong quickly transmitted the coordinates back. At the same time, the two battlefields in the east and west followed suit. As long as the cave is destroyed, the zombies behind can be cut off. Compared with the unlimited number, the limited number naturally has a better chance of winning. Not long after, several long white dragons cut through the sky and shot over. Boom boom, each kunpeng accurately hit the corresponding cave. The violent explosion not only caused the cave entrance to collapse instantly, but also cleared a large wave of zombies. A large vacuum zone was revealed. This time, no one cheered. Because even if there were no zombies, the number of zombies in front of them was enough for everyone to drink a pot. Order, all sweepers fire at full power, clear the zombie group behind as much as possible. Also, let all air turrets take off, throw all those bombs on the zombies' heads, Sue immediately ordered. At this time, there is no need to conserve any strength. Just do it directly. Yes, boss. Su Xiaodong immediately took the order. He likes firepower coverage the most. At one time, the swarm rockets of the sweepers and the various bombs carried by the Sky Tyrant were smashed into the zombie group behind. Most of the aerial bombs carried by the Sky Tyrant were picked up by Su Wei from the modern world. Although the power is not as strong as the wasteland version, it is better in quantity. If one is not enough, then two. If one is not enough, then two. Anyway, the reserves of the United States and other countries are enough to destroy the world several times, just use them to consume one wave. We are also working hard for world peace, right? The violent explosion sounded like thunder, and the flames of the explosion stretched for dozens of kilometers, almost forming a closed circle. Under the heavy firepower coverage, the pressure on the front line of the bull was reduced sharply. Taking this opportunity, we can adjust our position and build a defense line. Better meet the next zombie tide impact. Boss, look, there is a new situation. Just when the battle was in full swing, Su Xiaodong urgently switched a camera to Sue. The cave that had just been blown up miraculously appeared again. It was done by a huge mutant zombie. Their limbs have been transformed and are so short that they look like decorations. Their bodies are bloated like a fat version of Michelin, and their bodies are covered with bulging flesh rings. When their huge mouths open, large pieces of soil and rocks are sucked into their mouths and disappear. At the same time, mucus is secreted from their skin, making the cave walls very smooth. Fuck, Sue couldn't help but swear again. It's a shield machine from another world. With this thing, you don't have to worry about drilling holes in mountains anymore. And there is no need to feed or maintain it. The only thing you need to worry about is whether this thing will eat up the planet. Evil obstacles, don't let them stay. Dongzi, armor-piercing bullets, hello. Sue ordered the attack without saying a word. This thing is a sea of fire. Who knows what they did underground? What if they accidentally drilled through the planet? Got it, boss. Su Xiaodong immediately took over the control of a Sky Tyrant and conducted manual guidance. Lock, fire. It's that simple. Several armor-piercing shells whistled and tore through time and space, shooting at a fat version of Michelin. The bloated body destined them to have no ability to dodge, and even retreating seemed a bit powerless. Boom boom boom, the armor-piercing shells hit accurately, penetrated the thick fat layer, and drilled into the body of the fat version of Michelin before exploding. For a time, blood and flesh flew everywhere, and the scene was extremely disgusting. Because the blood of this zombie was actually dark brown, like mud, plus the yellow-white fat layer, the picture was simply unbearable to watch. Fortunately, this thing's defense is not good. Although the ability to devour is awesome, it also brings it the side effect of obesity. So, being able to eat is not necessarily a good thing. After discovering the reason for the formation of the cave, Sue was not so worried. It's just a mutant zombie with special abilities. It's very auxiliary, but its combat effectiveness is not worth mentioning. In front of the base army with rich long-range firepower, it is vulnerable. It just takes some time to clean up. With a clear tactic, the three major war zones immediately started to clean up. At the same time, contact the Phaeton base and use Kunpeng again to carry out a devastating attack on the newly excavated cave. After several times, the cave did not appear again. I don't know if the fat Michelin zombies were killed or turned to other places to dig holes. I won't worry about it for the time being. After asking Su Xiaodong to increase the distance and range of the reconnaissance drones cruising, Su Wei turned his attention to the direction of the city center. There is the highlight of this time. We have to find a way to force that guy out. Chapter 537 Corpse Emperor. Boom, boom, boom. Just when Su Wei was considering whether to use crystal bombs to completely raze the city center to the ground, there was a sound of the earth shaking from the direction of the city center. Even in the noisy sounds of the battlefield, it was particularly obvious. Here they come. Su Wei's whole body tensed up instantly. Soon, 3 huge figures appeared between the broken buildings. Each one was close to a height of 20 meters. 3, Emperor level. Su Wei was stunned. Although the distance was far and it looked a little blurry, his aura could be felt from a long distance. Although it was at the peak level of the Emperor level, it still did not exceed the scope of the Emperor level. How many Emperor levels were hidden in Jinquan City? Su Wei was confused. There were already 3 who died in his hands, and now 3 more appeared. Is this the Emperor level club of zombies? Huh? Just as Su Wei was thinking, the 3 Emperor level aliens actually separated. Only one had walked straight towards him, and the other 2 headed towards the positions of Feng Chao army and Long Hu army respectively. He already had a record of killing 2 Emperor level aliens at the same time, so why did he only send one this time? Isn't this a delivery? Su Wei was puzzled again. But soon, he knew the reason. Because on the shoulder of the Emperor level alien walking towards him, there was a figure about 3 meters tall. Except for the height that was different from ordinary people, everything else was the same as ordinary humans. Even on it, it was wearing a brand new set of clothes. In addition, the skin looked too pale, giving people a sick feeling. But what surprised Su Wei was not these, but its eyes, which turned out to be blood-red pupils. Xiao Na, Xiao Ling, watch out to your side, there is an Emperor-level alien passing by. Su Wei stared at the weird guy on the shoulder of the Emperor-level zombie and sent a warning to the east-west connection. There is no doubt that the final decisive battle is coming. Received. Yuna and Zhang Ling have seen the situation on Su Wei's side through the drone screen. Can the guy who can step on the shoulder of the Emperor-level alien be ordinary? As expected, it should be the master of all zombies in Jinquan City, the Emperor-level alien. Human, you are very strong, you lead people out of here, I can promise not to hurt you. Suddenly, Su Wei heard a strange voice, almost unable to distinguish the age and gender, like a piece of cold ice rubbing against your eardrum. Huh? Su Wei was startled. He had been staring at the guy stepping on the shoulder of the Emperor-level alien, and he clearly didn't see it move its mouth. But who else could be here besides it? Don't be surprised, I can communicate with many species, and you humans are just one of the low-level species. Only low-level life uses language to communicate, as if seeing Su Wei's doubts. The Emperor-level alien explained. It also didn't move its mouth or make any sound. But Su Wei heard it naturally. Is this the so-called consciousness communication? Su Wei couldn't help but guess. Not bad, you are one of the best among the low-level species, you have understood it so quickly, but don't doubt it, you are still a low-level species. Leave, I promise not to hurt you and your subordinates, this is not a place for you humans to come. The voice of the Emperor-level alien was full of lewd sounds, which made people feel a temptation that they did not want to resist. Humph, no, if it is as you said, you might as well kill us all. The reason you want to trick me away, that's because you are not sure of winning, am I right? Su Wei shook his head and suddenly woke up from the lewd sound. He raised his hand and pointed the broken army blade at the Emperor-level alien and shouted angrily without any hesitation. This sudden voice scared Su Xiaodong and others. Could the boss be possessed by a demon? Why would he talk to a zombie? I got it right, didn't I? I'm not afraid to tell you, I'm going to take over Jinquan City. Su Wei looked at the sudden change in the face of the Emperor-level alien, and immediately knew that he was right, so he continued to mock regardless of everyone's surprise. Human, you will pay a heavy price for this. Roar! The Emperor-level alien sent out an angry roar while sending out an angry consciousness to Su Wei. The Emperor-level alien under his feet, as well as the surrounding sea of zombies, seemed to feel the anger of the master, and followed the Emperor-level alien to roar at Su Wei. The scene was extremely spectacular. At this time, people seemed to realize something. They all looked at the Emperor-level alien in surprise, with incredible looks in their eyes. It actually understood. Designated driver, no, 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 I never do that. Sue shook his head at the Emperor-level alien and said playfully. It's a pity that the Emperor-level alien didn't understand. Although it already had a certain degree of wisdom, it had completely turned away from humans. Therefore, it would not understand these things. But it could also judge from Sue's expression that this was not a good thing. Roar, the Emperor-level alien species did not even need to communicate this time. It roared and commanded the Emperor-level alien species under its feet to charge. It wanted Sue to see the ultimate power of zombies. Dongzi, this is up to you, Sue said, and he flew to the opposite side like an arrow from a string. The fight between high-level combat forces is extremely destructive. He did not want the position he had just built to be destroyed. Therefore, it is better to open the battlefield in the zombie pile. Anyway, he has a full set of power armor with added materials to protect him, and he is not worried about being caught or scratched by zombies. Bang! Under the command of the Emperor-level alien species, the Emperor-level alien species raised its huge palm and slapped Sue fiercely. The palm of the hand, several meters wide, suddenly fell like a curtain from the sky, covering Sue. Yuna and Zhangling were very worried. But they were powerless. Because they also attracted their own opponents. Each of them had an Emperor-level alien at its peak. Little guy, Sue looked at the giant palm that was coming towards him, not panicking at all. He held Pajin tightly with both hands and accelerated to hide it. With a sound of puff, Pajin broke through the hard palm of the Emperor-level zombie, and Sue's body also jumped out of the hole. Then he continued to charge at the Emperor-level alien, and his speed was not affected at all. At this moment, a complex look flashed in the scarlet eyes of the Emperor-level alien. In terms of level, it was enough to suppress Sue. But the Pajin in Sue's hand was so sharp that it felt afraid. The reason why he came forward to persuade him to retreat was actually because of the existence of Pajin. It was an existence that could hurt it. Chapter 538, Self-Healing? Cure? Sue shot straight at the Emperor-class alien on its shoulder after passing through the palm of the Emperor-class alien. The sharp broken army pierced the air, making a hissing sound. Suddenly, the Emperor-class alien raised a hand and headed towards Sue. Bang! Sue suddenly felt like he had hit an invisible balloon. The speed of the galloping dropped sharply. It was as if he was entangled by countless vines, and it was getting harder and harder. But the power of the thrusters has been turned to the maximum, and the energy core has begun to turn red. But the acceleration is still limited. Sue felt that he was slowly stopping. Sue shouted in a low voice, and his whole body was full of strength. An invisible internal force penetrated his body like countless sharp blades. The feeling of restraint was instantly gone. Accelerate. Sue took the opportunity to shoot. The broken army in his hand went straight to the throat of the Emperor-class alien. A trace of surprise flashed in the eyes of the Emperor-class alien, and it was obviously very puzzled that Sue could break free from its mental restraint so quickly. However, Sue did not give it too much time to think, and the sound of breaking through the air followed. The Emperor-class alien instinctively bent backwards and folded its body in half with a swish. The sword in Sue's hand suddenly missed. But don't underestimate Sue's close combat ability. Pojun immediately changed his stab into a cut and slashed at the body of the Emperor-class alien. However, the Emperor-class alien was not a vegetarian. As soon as his feet loosened, his whole body fell from the Emperor-class alien's shoulder, and then he flew to the other shoulder with a light touch of one hand. However, the Emperor-class alien's giant hand attacked again, stopping Sue from continuing to chase. Sue's eyes shrank slightly. Because this giant hand was still the same one just now, but the big hole on its palm disappeared and returned to its original state. If there were no blood stains on it, Sue would have doubted whether the previous attack was an illusion. Such a strong self-healing ability, but it was still not enough. Cut. Facing the oncoming giant palm, Sue did not hesitate, and directly raised his hand and slashed, and the internal force passed through the blade to form a huge blade light. Instantly, the palm of the Emperor-class alien swung was completely cut off, and it fell to the ground with a bang, directly crushing several ordinary zombies. You know, they are now fighting in a pile of zombies, and the giant alien will trample many to death when moving. But the Emperor-class alien doesn't care at all. As long as it survives, the zombies can be endless. Roar, the Emperor-class alien whose palm was cut off couldn't help but roar at Sue angrily. and his huge mouth split open, rushing out a stream of air, spraying directly at Sui. Cough cough, don't get me wrong, it's just breath, not a sonic attack. Chewy, but this smell is really stinky. Sui looked disgusted through the mask, accelerated and dodged. However, a miracle happened. The severed palm of the Emperor-class alien actually grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short while, it returned to its original state. Except that the skin and nails looked a little tender, there was almost no difference with the other hand. Oh my god, limb regeneration, Sui was stunned. The ability of this Emperor-level alien was too abnormal. But soon, Sui found a clue. That is, the Emperor-level alien put one hand on the head of the Emperor-level alien, and a dark green light flashed. It's not self-healing, but healing, Sui couldn't help but wonder. In order to verify this idea, Sui attacked the Emperor-level alien directly. Soon, the matter was confirmed. Every time the Emperor-level alien was injured, a green light flashed on the hand of the Emperor-level alien on its body. No matter how deep or how big the wound is, it will be healed in a very short time and be as good as new. Oh my god, Super Nanny, Sui was so envious. Such assistance is really too strong. I wonder if the brain can be healed? Thinking of this, Sui rushed straight to the head of the Emperor-level alien. The Emperor-level alien immediately stopped and raised his hand to Sui, intending to imprison him. Come again? Of course, Sui would not wait foolishly to be imprisoned. He immediately used a heavy weight. With the weight of Xia Long, he fell down like a meteorite. Then he accelerated to the full speed and rushed to the heart of the Emperor-level alien at lightning speed. Raw, the Emperor-level alien's attack missed and was immediately furious. He quickly changed direction and wanted to intercept Sui. But he was still a step too slow. With a puff, Po-jun stabbed into the chest of the Emperor-level alien. However, Sui was locked again by the mental restraint of the Emperor-level alien at this time and stopped. Although Po-jun was 3 meters long, the Emperor-level alien was too big. Po-jun had no handle, but it did not hurt the heart. The blade was stuck between the muscles and bones. Sui laughed evilly, and his whole body was full of strength. The internal force immediately turned into a blade light through the blade, directly piercing the heart of the Emperor-level alien and shooting out from the back. Roar, the heart was hit, and the Emperor-level alien instantly spasmed all over and fell to the ground. It opened its bloody mouth and vomited blood like a waterfall, which was a spectacle. Creak creak. The pressure on Sui suddenly increased, and even Xia Long made a sound of being squeezed and rubbed. It was enough to see the anger of the Emperor-level alien. Unfortunately, Xia Long with the addition of Blue Chenjin was extremely hard, and no matter how the yellow-level alien crushed it, it was useless. But it was not a good feeling to be controlled by others. Sui retracted the blade and let the internal force penetrate the body again, turning into a sharp blade to cut off all the invisible restraints. The moment it loosened a little, Sui accelerated and escaped from the mental restraint of the Emperor-level alien. Roar, the Emperor-level alien roared at Sui, who was moving away. The tricks that had always been successful in the past failed again and again on Sui. This made it more and more anxious. It was obvious. When treating an important organ like the heart, it takes more time and experience. It took a full minute for the Emperor-level alien to heal the damaged heart and make it stand up again. It seems that we still have to attack the brain. Sui's brain was spinning at a wind speed. Sui looked at the Emperor-level alien, and the Emperor-level alien was also looking at him. Around him was the decisive battle between zombies and humans. The humans who were attacked from all sides were no longer as panicked as before. Because of the existence of Barbarian Bull, Wizard, and Magic Box, it became extremely simple to fight zombies. You can even control zombies to fight for yourself. At this time, the mobilized soldiers also joined the battle group, and together with Barbarian Bull, they continued to expand the battle line. The zombies that can dig holes did not appear again, which meant that there would be one less zombie in the back. This gave everyone endless hope. When fighting, they naturally had to do their best. Yuna and Zhangling also fought with the Emperor-level alien. Although the two were only at level 7, they were still stronger with the assistance of the Black Phoenix Mecha. Victory was only a matter of time. Chapter 539 Trump Card. As the battle continued to expand, the situation became increasingly unfavorable for the zombies. The Emperor-class alien seemed to have realized the crisis. He patted the Emperor-class alien under his feet, and the latter immediately let out a loud roar. All the zombies suddenly became extremely violent. But with the existence of the barbarian bull, no matter how violent the zombies on the ground were, they could not cross the gap. Occasionally, high-level zombies above the king level appeared. If they were not interfered with and controlled by the Starstone, they would soon be strangled halfway by the super soldier squad that was ready for battle. Never let them get close to the barbarian bull. Of course, this is not the trick of the Emperor-class alien. Hearing the loud roar of the Emperor-class alien, several high-rise buildings in the city center that had not collapsed suddenly flew out densely packed flying zombies, thousands of them, like a swarm of bees leaving their nests. They flew towards 3 battlefields respectively. Oh my. So there are so many flying zombies? Sue was stunned. This old guy is really good at hiding. Moreover, Sue discovered that this flying zombie was no longer a single poisoning type. There were also types holding bone spears in the air that could fight both near and far. There was also a smaller version of the warthog with 2 wings. The bone spurs on its back flashed a cold light in the sun, and it was a long-range attack player at first glance. There were also 4 guys with extremely sharp claws, and it was obvious that they were strong in close combat. The appearance of such a mixed air force immediately reversed the situation on the battlefield. The Emperor-level alien species already knew the maximum control range of the barbarian bull, so these flying zombies were flying at high altitudes outside the control distance. Poisonous tumors, bone spurs, and bone spears poured towards the human position. This might be the great gift that the Emperor-level alien species prepared for Sue. If it was before, Sue and his men would naturally not be afraid. But now there are a large number of mobilized soldiers participating in the battle. They are not protected by power armor. If this wave of attacks falls into the position, the casualties can definitely be described as heavy. Not only that, a large number of warthogs also appeared in the city center. They were like artillery clusters, with their launch tubes erected high. A round of volleys was thousands of bone spears. Falling into the position would definitely be a devastating blow. Dongzi, fire at full power, Sue ordered hurriedly. The battle has reached a fever pitch, and there is no need to hold back. Got it, boss. Su Xiaodong put away his usual laughter and took the order with a serious face. This moment is about the survival of mankind. Orders were issued quickly. The primary target of the Guardian is naturally the barbarian bull. The assaulters are on full alert and ready to support. The fierce ghosts retreated into the bunker. Only by surviving can they output better. The mobilized soldiers hid nearby, and whether they can survive depends on luck. The sweepers responsible for firepower output switched to air mode, opened the launcher, and the swarm roared out. This time it was not a ground attack, but an air attack. A layer of firepower network was woven directly above the human position to intercept all attacks. In the air, the reconnaissance drones were being chased around by melee flying zombies, with heavy casualties. But Su Xiaodong had no time to worry about it. Because at the moment he had more important things to do. That was to lock the coordinates of the warthog position in the city center and provide the base with a target for long-range strikes. Air Overlord and Air Hunter collectively set out and rushed to the city center. This move was naturally intercepted by a large number of flying zombies. Air Overlord directly turned on the onboard swift missiles and fired densely at the group of flying zombies in front. Air Hunter used its flexible characteristics to guard the Air Overlord and several reconnaissance drones. Facts have proved that the Wild Air Force has strong individual combat capabilities, but joint operations are not as good as domestic ones. Especially after several waves of missile rain, the dense flying zombies were gone. The drone formation immediately took this opportunity to break through the defense and rush to the city center, above the warthog position. Soon, the coordinates were transmitted back. But they need to maintain the signal source until the intercontinental ballistic missile locks here. At this moment, a large number of flying zombies swarmed in. Sky Tyrant once again transformed into fire output, firing all the missiles it carried in one go. Sky Hunter also spared no effort to strafe the aerial targets. Even if it was necessary to use the body to collide with the opponent and perish together with the opponent, it was necessary to hold on to the critical moment. For a time, the battle was fierce in the sky and on the ground. No matter how dense the anti-aircraft firepower of the sweepers was, there would be omissions. Tumors, bone spurs, and bone spears fell into the positions, causing considerable damage to the mobilized soldiers. Fortunately, the attackers coordinated left and right to reduce casualties to a minimum. Whoosh whoosh at this moment, A long white dragon cut through the sky, and the Kunpeng carrying a small yield crystal bomb warhead flew straight to the city center. Su Ziyadong, who was controlling the drone, breathed a sigh of relief. Unknowingly, his back was soaked with sweat. At this point, Kunpeng had locked the target, and even if the positioning drone was destroyed, it could not change the attack point of Kunpeng. Unless those warthogs can be transferred instantly, they will only end up dead. Nice, looking at the figure of Kunpeng. Su Wei couldn't help laughing. One bullet determines the outcome, Corpse King, you are doomed to lose. Ra, the Emperor-level alien species, naturally felt something unusual, especially when Su Wei smiled. It was sure that there was something wrong with the big guy flying in the sky. A roar sounded. All the flying zombies in the air abandoned their targets, gathered into a dark cloud, and intercepted Kunpeng. They actually tried to use their flesh and blood to intercept missiles. It must be said that the Emperor-level alien species has a lot of imagination. The result is self-evident. Kunpeng drew a perfect arc in the air, accelerated past a group of flying zombies, and finally fell to the ground. Boom! A mushroom cloud rose into the sky. The violent explosion instantly destroyed everything around, including the flying zombies and aircraft in the air, leaving nothing behind. Then, a violent shock wave hit, blowing numerous zombies all over the place. Fortunately, the explosion equivalent was scientifically calculated, and the impact was limited to limited range. It had little impact on the human front. However, the explosion point and the radius of several kilometers were directly razed to the ground, leaving no grass behind. A deep pit with a radius of several kilometers and a depth of tens of meters appeared at the explosion point, and the Warthog army disappeared without a trace. It was not until the flames of the explosion disappeared that everyone felt a darkening in front of their eyes, as if even the sun's light was dimmed. Now, it's your turn. Su Wei was very satisfied with the result. Without the influence of these factors, he could concentrate on fighting the Emperor-level alien species. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 540, Final Battle. Human, you have to pay for this. The consciousness of the Emperor-level alien exploded directly in Su Wei's mind. Fortunately, Su Wei's mental power has been strengthened, otherwise it would be a bit difficult to bear. Stop bragging, your bragging is broken. Su Wei once again rushed towards the Emperor-level alien with Pajin in his hand. The Emperor-level alien dodged and jumped off the Emperor-level alien's shoulder. Crash! The blade in Su Wei's hand was shining, and he directly chopped off the head of the Emperor-level alien. In fact, this is his goal: kill one first and count one. Now let me see how you heal, Su Wei said coldly. Humph, ignorance. The Emperor-level alien was not angry at all, as if it deliberately let Su Wei kill this Emperor-level alien. Huh? Oops. Su Wei was stunned at first, but then he felt something was wrong. His body was suddenly completely imprisoned, and he couldn't even move a finger. Even his internal force was blocked by some mysterious power, and it ran very slowly. Is this mental bondage? No, obviously not, but a more advanced spiritual realm. This is the standard configuration of the strength ceiling, which can form a domain within a certain space. Within the domain, it is almost invincible. Human, accept the punishment. The veins on the head of the Emperor-level alien were exposed, and it was obvious that the domain was consumed greatly. At the same time, its figure flashed and came to Su Wei, grabbing Su Wei's helmet. He wanted to scratch it, but its hard material made it somewhat futile. He could only pull it off with a bang, revealing Su Wei's true face. However, facing all this, Su Wei was powerless to resist. He watched the hand of the Emperor-level alien with sharp nails continue to grab his neck. There is no doubt that it is definitely a rhythm of crushing. Get out! At this critical moment, Su Wei concentrated all his strength on his brain and launched a mental attack on the Emperor-level alien. Mental Thorn. It slammed into the spiritual realm of the Emperor-level alien. Ra, the Emperor-level alien suddenly felt that his brain was stabbed hard. It was so uncomfortable that it could not be more uncomfortable. It never dreamed that Su Wei could launch an attack while in the domain. 8. Extreme Collapse. Taking advantage of the moment when the domain was loose, Su Wei directly launched a big move, punching with hatred, and directly hit the cheek of the Emperor-level alien species that was close at hand. With a bang, It made people's teeth ache. The Emperor-level alien species was hit high. Although its strong body withstood Suwei's power attack, the violent vibration caused its domain to end. Suwei immediately regained his freedom. Without saying a word, he chased after it and cut off the head of the Emperor-level alien species with a knife. All this happened in a flash. People haven't even woken up from the explosion of the crystal bomb. It's over here. Long live looking at Suwei, who is holding a knife in one hand and holding the head of the corpse king in the other hand. The Phaeton army was immediately boiling. Their boss, their leader, successfully killed an Emperor-level alien species. Such a record is enough to look down on the wasteland and be remembered in history. On the contrary, the zombies that lost the Emperor-level alien species instantly exploded. Although fierce, they became disorganized and fought on their own. This undoubtedly reduced the pressure on human soldiers. The people who were hiding rushed out of the bunkers and threw themselves into the final battle. The medical soldiers led some mobilized soldiers to rush to the battlefield to save the dying and the wounded. At this last moment, save as many lives as possible and let the victory belong to more humans. At the same time, the other two war zones encountered the same thing. The two Emperor-level alien species suddenly lost contact with the Emperor-level alien species and suddenly became a little confused. Taking this opportunity, Yuna and Zhangling killed them instantly. The zombies that lost control also exploded, but with the interference of the Starstone, the zombies were more tame to humans. At this point, the overall situation was finally determined and there were no more waves. All leaders, including Suwei, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The continuous battle that lasted for 3 days and 2 nights was finally coming to a successful conclusion. The next battle was much simpler. Under Suwei's order to attack the entire army, the wizard and magic box also joined the battlefield, which greatly increased the speed of exterminating the zombies. Su Xiaodong also released all the unmanned weapons that were kept in the bottom of the box. Under the heavy firepower, the zombies were harvested in groups. On such a battlefield, the most eye-catching one is the Flame Demon. The ultra-high-temperature plasma flamethrower will cover a large area with one launch and burn it directly to ashes. Environmentally friendly and efficient. Although the threat of the Emperor and Emperor levels has been removed, the remaining zombies are still massive. Under full firepower output, the battle continued all night. It was not until the morning of the 4th day that the battle gradually came to an end. The whole Jinquan city was filled with the smoke of war. Mobilized soldier teams can be seen everywhere collecting zombie corpses and destroying them in a centralized manner. There are also various types of power armor flying around in the air to confirm whether there are still surviving zombies. The city center was directly destroyed and there is almost no value in searching. However, just in case, Suwei still sent a team of people over. Barbarian Bull led the way, and drones conducted reconnaissance. There were indeed some different discoveries. In addition to the destroyed parts, people also found a huge underground space with smooth walls like glass. Needless to say, these places should have been created by the special zombies that looked like a fat version of Michelin. No wonder millions of zombies suddenly disappeared. It turned out that they had built a cave for hiding soldiers underground. I have to admire the wisdom of that Emperor-level alien. This also cast a psychological shadow on everyone. When zombies evolved to the extreme, new life forms were born. In this case, should humans be eliminated? Unfortunately, no one can answer such a question. During the exploration, people also found that there were many tunnels connected to the cave for hiding soldiers, which extended in all directions. If it is allowed to develop further, it might create a huge underground world. At that time, it would be even more difficult for humans to attack it. Because this oil will weaken the band generated by the Starstone, the safety factor will naturally drop sharply after the control range is reduced. There are still some zombies in the tunnel, so they must be cleaned up. Afterwards, they will choose to keep or blow up this wrinkled underground world based on whether it is needed. Although the battle has lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, people's enthusiasm is still high. Even more than before the war. This is because they have created a miracle. In the wasteland, they conquered the first city that has been occupied by zombies for 10 years. This glory is self-evident. It is like a flame burning in everyone's heart, warming everyone. Chapter 541, Preferring Sons to Daughters. The Battle of Jinquan City was tough. But the gains were immeasurable. In addition to the vast amount of supplies and equipment, the confidence regained by the survivors is of immeasurable value. Through this battle, both Long Wei and the soldiers of the demon realm found a long-lost sense of belonging. Once they have a sense of belonging, their loyalty to Phaeton and their admiration for Su Wei will be like a surging river, endless. More than 200,000 people will also be tightly twisted together through this battle and become an indivisible whole. After the war, Su Wei naturally went into seclusion as soon as possible. Absorbed the corpse crystal of the Emperor-level alien species. This is the key to his breakthrough to the 9th level, that is, the heavenly level. Naturally, he can't be careless. In addition, this battle also harvested 5 Emperor-level corpse crystals. Another batch of super high-level combat power can be created for the base. Yuna and Zhangling are naturally the first choice. The second is Ma Xianwu, Wang Bowen and Li Yunlei of the Special Forces. They have all reached 7 stars or 7th level. As long as they absorb the corpse crystal of the Emperor-level alien species, they will be supermasters of 8 stars or 8th level. Phaeton's combat power will soar by several levels. 1 9th level, plus 5 8-star and 8th level strength. I'm afraid there is no one in the entire wasteland. Especially the top existence of 9th level, according to the current information, no human in the wasteland has reached this level. After all, it is not a simple matter to hunt down an Emperor-level alien or a 5S-level mutant beast. Soon, everyone who was in seclusion came out one after another. The first one to reach it was naturally Zhangling. Her foundation and talent were both outstanding, and it was no big deal for her to reach the 8th level first. Then came Yuna. It only took them a little more than 4 days. Yuna was only half a day later than Zhangling. 2 days later, Ma Xianwu, Wang Bowen and Li Yunlei also came out of seclusion one after another. So far, Phaeton's combat power has soared directly to the sky. But everyone is not in the mood to celebrate because Su Wei has not come out yet. Zhenzhen has been waiting for a long time, but there is no information at all. It can't help but make people a little worried. However, the energy of the Emperor-level corpse crystal must be extremely huge, so it is expected that it will take a longer time to absorb. So everyone immediately devoted themselves to the finishing work of Jinquan City. While working, they waited for news from Su Wei. In a blink of an eye, 2 more days passed. On the 7th day, Su Wei finally walked out of the secluded room and appeared in front of everyone. Black hair, energetic face, familiar smile. It seems that there has been no change. Brother, how is the situation? When everyone was stunned, Yuna couldn't help but ask carefully. After hearing the news that Su Wei had come out of seclusion, everyone dropped their work and ran over. After all, this is Phaeton's top priority, and Su Wei will be the first person in the wasteland. So, they must come to see him. But seeing that Su Wei had not changed at all, everyone's heart was shocked. Did he fail to advance? Yes, this is not a 100% success. Strengthening may still fail, not to mention the impact of the 9th level, a nearly godlike existence. Su Wei, it doesn't matter if you fail, at worst. Go and take down Menghe City again. Seeing that Su Wei did not answer immediately, Zhangling directly comforted him. In her mind, if 1 Emperor-level corpse crystal is not enough, then 2 will do. In short, she will always help Su Wei fight. That's right, it's okay, boss. Ma Xianwu, Songdan and others also comforted him. He who said I failed, Su Wei couldn't hold it back at this moment, and laughed out loud. The more extreme it is, the more ordinary it looks. Just like the Emperor-level alien species, it lacks the majesty and domineering of the Emperor-level alien species. If it doesn't show it, no one will find it among ordinary zombies. Su Wei is in this state now, returning to his original state. It's as if he has turned back to the boy who was nothing a year ago. Everyone was stunned by Su Wei's answer. But how can they not see it at all? Could the boss's brain be broken? What should I do? Seeing the doubtful expressions on everyone's faces, Su Wei didn't explain much, and directly activated the field. Within 100 meters, it was suddenly in a delicate state. It seemed that Su Wei was the only one left in this world. Everyone with high cultivation immediately felt something was wrong. They wanted to resist, but found that no matter how high or low their level was, they could not resist Su Wei. Then, Su Wei waved his right hand. Yuna, Zhangling and other women floated up slowly as if they were weightless, like fairies descending to the mortal world, which was wonderful. Then, Su Wei pressed with his left hand. Wang Boang, Li Yunlei and others felt something was wrong, as if they had a heavy burden on their shoulders, which made them almost breathless. Gravity field. Su Wei awakened the gravity field. In his field, gravity can be applied at will, negative growth or positive growth is possible. Is this the ultimate evolution of the power attribute? One side is as light as a feather, and the other side is as heavy as Mount I. Such a strange scene surprised everyone. Old boss, is it really okay for you to treat them so blatantly? Li Yanli couldn't help but say to Su Wei with resentment. Beautiful women are stunning, men are ruthlessly exploited. This boss really values women over friendship. Huh, old Lei, don't talk nonsense, I'm obviously favoring boys over girls, okay, I have high expectations for you, come on. Young man. Su Wei was stunned when he heard this. He swore that he was just curious and tried the practical application of gravity. But he didn't expect such consequences. But is the boss wrong? The answer is of course no. So Su Wei doubled the gravity on the men's side. He can still talk, which means it's not heavy enough. Feeling the gravity increase, Wang Boing and others shot murderous eyes at Li Yanli. Can the boss's shortcomings be exposed in front of him? You old fool. Cough cough cough. Okay, now you know how powerful I am. Looking at Li Yanli's expression of despair, Su Wei quickly retracted his magical powers. As he said this, he also gave Li Yanli and others a comforting look. Unfortunately, in the eyes of Li Yanli and the others, this scene was nothing more than a devil's smile. Slip away. Boss, I seem to have forgotten to turn off my phone. Bye. Su Xiaodong was the first to run away. Boss, I have to pee urgently. Li Yanli didn't dare to slow down this time. Boss, all of a sudden, all the men left. They couldn't stand the boss's patriarchal ideology. Howdy brother, this is so fun, let's do it again. Yuna clung to Su Wei regardless. The feeling of weightlessness just now was indeed wonderful. It was like a fish that could swim freely. Well, now it was Su Wei's turn to have a headache. Unfortunately, he couldn't slip away. Chapter 542, Fairy from the Sky. Boss, I have work to report to you. After Su Wei satisfied several women with their ecstasy, Song Dan came to the rescue at the right time. Work is important, work is important. Su Wei immediately climbed up the pole, took Song Dan's hand and walked towards the headquarters office building. The speed was so fast that it was faster than thunder. HMPH, stinky brother, Yuna couldn't help stomping on her little boots, complaining unwillingly. Let's go, we still have a lot of things to do. Zhang Ling on the side didn't care. She pulled the angry Yuna towards Jinquan City. Now, the whole Jinquan City is undergoing a major cleanup. A large amount of supplies are continuously transported to major bases, making everyone's pockets bulge. As the saying goes in the wasteland, there is a good thing. With supplies in hand, there is no panic in the heart. It is one step closer to the paradise on the wasteland. Naturally, everyone is happy. The power range of the three major bases, Fengchao, Hudeng and Longteng, extends to Jinquan City, dividing it into three major areas and controlling them separately. On the one hand, it can be cleaned up efficiently. On the other hand, Fengchao and Longhu gradually form the left and right wings of Hudeng. Strategically, it can play a good protective role. And Hudeng can also echo it to form a solid iron triangle. After 7 or 8 days of cleaning, the potential dangers in Jinquan City have been basically cleared. However, after experiencing the devastation of the nuclear explosion and 10 years of wind and rain, the entire city is basically unable to meet human habitation. But for Hudeng, this is not a problem. With the industrial titan in hand, it is estimated that it will not take too long to restore a city. It is no exaggeration to say that as long as Su Wei is willing, a brand new Jinquan City can be built within 3 months. Boss, in this Jinquan City battle, a total of 1,378 people died on our side. In the headquarters office, Songdan sat on the chair opposite Su Wei, holding an electronic board in his hand, on which were the matters that needed to be dealt with. It was a heavy topic at the beginning. There is no way, there will always be deaths in war. After such a large-scale battle, only more than 1,000 people died. This record is actually very good. Moreover, most of them were mobilized soldiers without protection. The casualties were the most tragic when they were surrounded by zombies. Otherwise, this number would not have been reached. Everything should be arranged with the highest standards. Also, don't forget to engrave their names on the monument, record their stories in the Memorial Hall of Heroes, let the living remember them forever, let future generations know the sacrifices they made for their ideals, Su Wei said with a trace of sadness. Yes, boss, Songdan hurriedly wrote it down. Then he continued, "Boss, should we abandon Jinquan City directly and expand with the Phaeton base as the center, or are we going to rebuild Jinquan City and then move everyone in?" What about the public opinion survey? Su Wei did not answer directly, but asked back. The Phaeton base is nearly 100 kilometers away from Jinquan City. Even after the expansion, it is still dozens of kilometers away. It is not far, but it is not close either. Boss, we conducted 2 nominal surveys, before the war and after the war. Before the war, 80% of people hoped to rebuild Jinquan City, but the survey after the war was almost reversed, and only 30% of people hoped to rebuild Jinquan City. Most people still support building our own city with the Phaeton base as the center. Songdan reported the survey data to Su Wei. As the head of the logistics department, these are naturally the points she needs to pay attention to. Yet, okay, then we won't be entangled, just expand it with Phaeton as the center. It's just a waste to blow up the huge underground space in Jinquan City. In this way, build a medium-sized base on it. Let's call it Jinquan Base. It can commemorate our past memories. At the same time, it can also connect it with Fengchao and Longhu. Build a strong protective barrier for Phaeton. Su Wei immediately made a decision after thinking for a while. Through this war, he also saw the current Jinquan City with his own eyes. If he wants to move in, he basically has to push it to rebuild. Moreover, Jinquan City, which can accommodate millions of people, is indeed too big for Phaeton, which now has a population of only more than 200,000. It is completely unnecessary. Now that Phaeton has begun to take shape, as long as it is well managed, it will always become an existence that is no less than Jinquan City before the disaster. Okay, boss, Songdan hurriedly recorded Su Wei's meaning. These are things that need to be implemented soon. Especially the establishment of the Jinquan base, which will undoubtedly be on the headlines. Boss, the radiation range of Phaeton has now expanded to nearly 1,000 kilometers. The reconnaissance team of the armed forces has discovered some small settlements in the south and east, as well as several medium and large bases. The estimated population is more than 100,000. The armed forces asked whether to take action or wait. After Songdan finished recording, he brought up the following matters. At present, Phaeton is expanding everywhere. To the west is the demon realm that has been conquered and is still digesting the seeds, so the west has temporarily reached there and has not yet extended outward. As for the north, it was previously blocked by Jinquan City and could not be explored. Now that it has just been conquered, it also needs to be digested, and it has not continued to extend northward. The east and south are relatively barren and lacking because there are no neighboring cities. There are no people within hundreds of kilometers. Therefore, the distance between these two directions is relatively far. After crossing nearly 1,000 kilometers, we finally found the settlements of human survivors, and there are quite a few of them, hundreds of them, big and small. Oh, this is great news. How strong is the largest base? Su Wei was no longer sleepy when he heard the population, and asked Songdan with great interest. There was a terrifying light in his eyes. Songdan couldn't help but tremble slightly. Boss, according to the news returned by the scouts, the largest base is called Guyu City, with a population of about 40,000, but its strength is not as good as the original Longhu base. The leader is only a 7-star evolver. Songdan replied quickly. No need to say, get him. Su Wei made the decision directly. What he lacks most now is population. The population base determines the number of talents. Therefore, as long as he can get it back, Su Wei will never let it go. Besides, I am the savior of the wasteland. I am here to let you live a good life. No need to thank me. Okay, boss. Songdan was stunned for a moment, and then he was busy writing it down. The two discussed one by one. After conquering Jinquan City, the strength of the Phaeton executives accounted for a large part, and the Phaeton combat power also soared to a new height. Therefore, many things can be put on the agenda. Chapter 543 Winged Tiger. This discussion took most of the day, and the two had their lunch delivered to the office. They ate while discussing. But even so, before Su Wei and the others finished their discussion, an alarm suddenly sounded from Longhu Base. The Blood Fortress suddenly descended. Boss, it's bad. The Blood Fortress suddenly appeared outside the gate of Longhu Base. Wang Bowen, Su Xiaodong and others rushed into the headquarters office with a serious face. Huh? The Blood Fortress? How many people came? How strong are they? Su Wei frowned as soon as he heard it. Previously, Because the headquarters of the Blood Fortress was in another province, they did not take the initiative to attack. Instead, they strengthened themselves first. Unexpectedly, just as they took Jinquan City, the other side came out again. It was really intolerable for uncles, but not for aunts. Facing Su Wei's question, Wang Bowen stretched out 5 fingers with some difficulty. 50,000, Su Wei looked confused. Last time, tens of thousands of people were dispatched. If they were still equipped with the previous equipment, even 50,000 would be useless. No, it's 5 mechas, Wang Bowen said after swallowing his saliva. 5 mechas, what models? What about Yu Hefen? Su Wei stood up immediately. This news was really shocking. With his cheating function, Phaeton only had 2 mechas, and another one was under construction. I didn't expect the other party to come with 5 mechas. Did they mess up the mecha nest? And looking at Wang Bowen's expression, it was clear that it was definitely not an industrial grade one. If Yunzi is not mistaken, it should be a military combat mecha that had been in service before the disaster. The Winged Tiger, Wang Bowen said, and called up a picture sent by the Longhu armed forces. The background is really the wilderness outside the north gate of Longhu, on which stand 5 tall mechas of the same model but painted in different colors. It is estimated to be a little taller than the Black Phoenix. The biggest feature is that the head presents the shape of a tiger head, and there are folded flying wings behind it. No wonder it is called the Winged Tiger. Compared with the Black Phoenix, the Winged Tiger is a first-generation machine. The system and other aspects may be weaker than the Black Phoenix, but it is a model that has been through a lot of actual combat after all. In terms of stability and reliability, it is naturally slightly better. Besides, it has been 10 years since the disaster. The Blood Fortress must have upgraded it, so its strength cannot be determined for the time being. Wang Bowen waited for Su Wei to digest the information on the picture and continued. These have been analyzed by weapons expert Fang Yunzi. Su Wei looked at the picture and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Including himself, it shouldn't be a problem to fight 3 against 5. But the question is, how many mechas does the Blood Fortress have? They just sent 5 casually. What happens next? HMPH, we'll know whether it's powerful or not after a battle. Su Wei stretched out his hand and clenched it, making a sound of beans bursting. He had just been promoted to the 9th level, that is, the Heavenly Dao level. He was worried about not having an opponent to test. Summon Yuna and Zhangling, drive the Black Phoenix, and rush to the Longhu base. Su Wei then gave the order. Yes, boss. Wang Bowen immediately took the order. Su Wei put on his Xiaolong armor without delay, carried Pajin on his back and rushed to Longhu base. This area has been occupied by Xiao Qing, so he can fly at high speed without restraint. Even the sound of a sonic boom was heard. Not long after, the light blue sound of Xiaolong passed over the sky above Longhu base and headed straight for the north gate. Roar! Everyone in the base couldn't help cheering when they saw this familiar voice. The oppressive feeling of the 5 mechas of the Blood Fortress suddenly disappeared without a trace. Because at this time, the godlike man in their hearts, as long as he is there is nothing that can't be settled. With a buzz, Su Wei landed steadily on the wall of the north gate. Leaders such as Wu Ma and Ma Xiaolin have gathered here. They all looked at the 5 winged tiger mechas in the wilderness outside the city with solemn faces. Fortunately, Yuna and Zhangling arrived one step ahead. The 2 Black Phoenix mechas, but in front of the north gate, formed a chess situation. This gave Long Wei the strength to fight. The 2 women were in Jinquan City when they received the order, so they were much closer than Su Wei. Boss, Wu Ma and others immediately stepped forward and surrounded Su Wei. How long have they been here? Su Wei put down his armor, put away his helmet, and then asked Wu Ma. Boss, it's been half an hour. The other party seems to be waiting for something, so they didn't attack immediately. Wu Ma answered immediately. When the 5 winged tigers appeared, she even suspected that she was going to die. But the other party did not attack immediately, just standing there. Even the arrival of Yuna and Zhangling was indifferent. This is obviously a bit unreasonable. Oh, Su Wei was stunned when he heard this. According to the nature of the bloody fortress, shouldn't they come to avenge their previous shame? So polite, what do you want to do? Is your boss Su Wei here? If you're here, please come out and talk. At this moment, a winged tiger mecha on the opposite side suddenly made a sound. It sounded like a woman's voice. Looking for me, Su Wei was stunned when he heard this. Boss, is this a trick? Wu Ma and others couldn't help but change their expressions. After all, There were 5 mechas on the opposite side. It's okay, I just want to try it, Su Wei said as he turned on the thrusters and flew out of the city. Although he can also hang in the air with his own strength after the promotion, is he a fool not to use the high-tech that saves effort and worry? Soon, Su Wei flew to the front in Xianglong. Yuna immediately controlled the Black Phoenix No. 1 to raise her right hand, forming an aerial platform for Su Wei to land on. A domineering attitude. Get out of the way, I'm going to start pretending. I'm Su Wei, what do you want to talk about? If you want to persuade me to surrender, then forget it. Su Wei didn't use a loudspeaker and directly transmitted his voice. With his strength, the other party would hear it very clearly even through the mecha. Sure enough, this move made the other party fall into a brief silence. I am Meng Hangsha, the leader of the Winged Tiger Mecha Regiment of the Scarlet Fortress. I have been ordered to come to support. After a short silence, the female voice that had called out earlier rang again. At the same time, the cockpit door of the Golden Winged Tiger Mecha standing in the middle opened automatically, and a woman wearing a power armor of the same color flew out. Coming to the front, a winged tiger of the opponent also stretched out its right hand as a platform for her to land on. Yuzuhu came face to face. The woman was not wearing a helmet, revealing a delicate face and long golden hair. Don't get me wrong, she is not a foreigner. Her appearance features are the same as Su Wei and the others. However, her face is as icy as Zhangling's before. Chapter 544, Thick Mist. What, you guys, Blood Fortress, come to support? Not only Su Wei, but everyone on the scene was stunned. Even if we put aside the hatred between the two sides, you guys came to support after the battle in Jinquan City. What kind of support is that? Even if you want to have a share, this reason is too far-fetched. Can you be more careful? You moved someone else's cheese, you are about to be in big trouble, you don't even know it, it's ridiculous. Meng Hangsha was furious when she saw Su Wei's contemptuous expression. But thinking of her grandmother's instructions before leaving, she could only bear it. Ignorance is fearless. Other people's cheese, a big disaster is coming. Haha, little sister, are you trying to scare me? Su Wei couldn't help but laugh when he heard it. Now, Meng Hangsha didn't use a loudspeaker, and the volume was very calm, so basically only Su Wei in front of her could hear it. It looks like it's only level 6 or 7. You forget it, ignorance is bliss. We will stay here and join the battle when the enemy comes. Please go back. Faced with Su Wei's unruly behavior, Meng Hangsha was furious. It was such a good time and he still felt good about himself. But now there was no explanation, so she could only coldly order him to leave. She didn't realize that this was Longhu base, Su Wei's home court. I'll go, little sister, are you mistaken? You order me to leave on my territory, are you serious? Su Wei was furious when he heard it. The arrogance of this bloody fortress is really engraved in its bones. As he said that, the gravity field was activated. The area within a radius of 10 meters was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Meng Hangsha suddenly felt suppressed by the invisible pressure and almost couldn't breathe. The winged tiger that was supporting her staggered and almost lost its balance. She took a quick step forward to stabilize her body, but the mechanical arm she was holding made a creaking sound as it could not bear the weight. The driver had to extend another mechanical arm to hold it, and it was barely able to stabilize it. Don't move. The other 3 winged tigers were about to rush forward when they saw this. Fortunately, Meng Hangsha stopped them with difficulty. Yuna and Zhangling also stabilized the Black Phoenix and paused. The battle was about to break out. You are really strong, but in front of them it's not enough. Meng Hangsha stopped the winged tiger, and resisted the pressure brought by the huge gravity, and said to Su Wei with difficulty. The stubborn expression and resolute eyes all showed her heart that would never give in. They, who? Su Wei was slightly stunned when he heard this, and reduced the gravity a little, allowing Meng Hangsha to breathe. Captain, it's bad, the enemy has deviated from the route and is heading towards Jinquan City. At this moment, a Kuga painted in blue suddenly spoke. What? Su Wei, let me go, the enemy has changed the route, go and intercept. Meng Hangsha's face changed drastically when she heard it. The route they calculated before would show the enemy near Long Wei. Unexpectedly, the enemy would change the route temporarily. In this way, all their arrangements were in vain. Su Wei was speechless. What the hell is going on? Hurry up, it will be too late if you are late, Meng Hangsha shouted at Su Wei impatiently. Under the pressure of gravity, she was already sweating profusely. And some of her hair was wet and stuck to her face. With her face turned red due to the force. She looked charming and delicate. Why should I believe you? Su Wei said slowly. However, he secretly asked Zhang Ling to send the message to Wu Ma. Let her notify the Phaeton base immediately and be on guard. No matter what the Blood Fortress is up to, it is always right to be cautious. Yue Meng Hangsha was speechless. After all, the two sides were still in a hostile state. Now the other party is asked to believe in oneself unconditionally. This is indeed a fantasy. If you don't have it, get out of here. Where did it come from? Go back there, Su Wei said and retracted the gravity field. In the current situation, it would be best if we can avoid fighting. Wait until Phaeton digests and absorbs the resources of the entire Jinquan city. Who will be left by then? Yue Meng Hangsha was directly mad and cried. From childhood to adulthood, she has never been treated like this. Now she lowers herself and takes the initiative to come to help, but she is still scolded like this. Hey, don't cry, I didn't do anything to you. You have to tell me who the enemy is first, right? Su Wei had the urge to cover his face. Seeing a woman crying, he couldn't help but have a headache. It is said that big breasts are brainless. Meng Hangsha's ratio was indeed enough. The enemy is an alien who calls himself the Wakan Star people. 10 years ago, they sowed seeds on our planet, using humans as carriers. They cultivated species containing crystals, zombies. Among them, the Corpse King is the fruit they are waiting to mature. You attacked Jinquan City and killed the Corpse King. You moved the cheese of the Wakan Star people, so, their fleet will soon arrive. If you don't want it to be destroyed, you have to cooperate with us. At this point, Meng Hangsha had no choice but to tell the whole story. What? Aliens? Sowing? Su Wei couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. Is this the reason for the global outbreak of the virus in the wasteland? This made him think of the memoirs of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Could it be that the attack on human spacecraft came from the Wakan Star people? In addition to the strange black shadows captured by the satellite last time, Su Wei couldn't help but believe it a little. How is it? Can we act now? Meng Hangsha's anxious look didn't seem to be pretended. Not very good. The same thing. Why should I believe you? Su Wei naturally couldn't believe it completely. Who knew if it was a self-torture trick of the Blood Fortress? I can be your hostage. Meng Hangsha gritted her teeth and said to Su Wei. No, Captain. Several winged tigers spoke at the same time, but they were all stopped by Meng Hangsha. Su Wei was stunned again. What is going on? Will it end? Can a weasel pay New Year's greetings to a chicken be kind? I am not only the captain of the Blood Fortress Winged Tiger Mecha Regiment, I am also the granddaughter of the highest leader of the Blood Fortress. Is this identity important enough? Meng Hangsha continued to drop a heavy bomb. Su Wei's hesitation made her think that the identity of a Mecha Regiment leader alone was not enough for the other party to pay attention to. Okay, it's important enough, then let me see your sincerity, Su Wei said loudly after a moment of hesitation. Chapter 545. Is it a coincidence? HMPH, Meng Hangsha snorted coldly, raised her hand and pressed on her chest, and the power armor on her body was immediately untied, revealing a body wearing a tight driving suit. Although Meng Hangsha has a beautiful face, she actually has a good figure. Just like this, Meng Hangsha walked slowly to Su Wei without any defense. A strong fragrance also came with it. It smells like tulips. Are you serious? This really surprised Su Wei. Yes, hurry up, stop dilly-dallying. While taking off the armor, Meng Hangsha seemed to have taken off some kind of restraint, looking at Su Wei with contempt and said, HMPH. You will cry someday. Su Wei was too lazy to argue, and directly took out the alloy rope to tie Meng Hangsha up. Once this thing is entangled, it is not so easy to untie it. At least, it is almost impossible without the help of external force. Now you can believe what I say. Meng Hangsha waited for Su Wei to confirm it, and then spoke. Well, half and half, Su Wei answered casually. How come this binding skill is so good? I remember I haven't practiced it before. What do you mean? Meng Hangsha was stunned when she heard it. It depends on sincerity, Su Wei said with a blink of his eyes. Meng Hangsha was stunned and looked down at the alloy ropes tied up on her body. Is this not sincere enough? The value of you alone is far less important than the value of my base, so, let your people stay still, otherwise Su Wei said, showing an expression that he thought was very fierce. You bastard, Meng Hangsha suddenly felt cheated. Shut up, you'd better tell the truth, otherwise, I don't mind making the Blood Fortress disappear, just like the Corpse King in Jinquan City, Su Wei said, picked up Meng Hangsha like a chicken, and gestured to Yuna. The latter opened the cockpit of the Black Phoenix Mecha. Sui, you big bastard. Although her freedom of movement was restricted, Sui did not confiscate her communicator. On the Longhu base side, everyone couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, but they were still on high alert and didn't dare to relax at all. After all, the crisis was not really resolved. Although they didn't know the details of the negotiations. But Sui left in a hurry, and the winged tiger didn't retreat. This shows that there is a bigger crisis. Let's put it aside for now. Sui rushed back to Jiquan City at full speed. However, there was a scene of bustling activity here. Asking the scouts around, they also got a normal response. After inspecting a circle, Sui found nothing unusual and couldn't help frowning again. Brother, Meng Hangsha wants to talk to you. At this time, Yuna's communicator rang. Yet, let her talk. Sui looked at the busy people under his feet and said casually. Sui, the enemy's route has shifted again. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be the Phaeton base. Meng Hangsha's voice suddenly sounded in the communicator. HMPH, Meng Hangsha, you'd better pray that I can see the enemy you mentioned this time. Otherwise, I don't mind going to war with the Blood Fortress right away. Sui's voice was filled with a hint of anger. This back and forth, even a clay man would be angry. HMPH Meng Hangsha snorted coldly and stopped talking. Sui, what should we do? Zhang Ling couldn't help but ask. Aliens. This is definitely a heavy news. Otherwise, Sui wouldn't be so busy. Let's go back to the base. Sui didn't say anything. Took off again, and headed for the Phaeton base. Zhang Ling and Yuna followed. Soon, several people returned to the Phaeton base. Wang Boing and Song Dan, who had received the news in advance, had already issued a martial law order for the base. Armed personnel can be seen everywhere. The defense system of the base is also fully activated. The hideous and terrifying city defense weapons are exposed on the top of the city. This is Zuhu's foundation nest in the wasteland, so it is naturally armed to the teeth. Boss, is it the Crimson Fortress that is attacking us? Wang Boing asked impatiently as soon as they met. The information sent back only told them to be alert and worry about the enemy. But it did not mention who the enemy was specifically. How many were they? It is not clear yet. If the people from the Crimson Fortress are lying, then the enemy is the Crimson Fortress, Sui said angrily. And he repeated Meng Hangsha's words. Relatively speaking, he hoped that it was a lie from the Crimson Fortress. After all, everyone is the same kind. And aliens? God knows how powerful they are. Wang Boing and others were stunned when they heard it. This is the first time they have encountered such an unreliable thing. How come even aliens have come up with it? But when they thought of the virus that inexplicably spread around the world, they couldn't help but believe it a little. Woo woo woo. At this moment, the alarm bells in the base rang loudly. Boss, there's a big guy in the sky approaching us. Su Xiaodong ran over quickly. His face was full of shock. What's going on? Sui's heart sank when he heard this. This seemed to confirm what Meng Hangsha said, and his glimmer of hope was dashed. It's this kind of ghost thing. Su Xiaodong quickly pulled out a picture from his bracelet. Against the background of the blue sky, a spaceship with a black main body and scarlet stripes came into view. This was a picture taken by a patrol drone at an altitude of more than 1,000 meters. Without satellites, it is so limited. Even though Sui had countless experiences, he couldn't help but scream in shock at this moment. The narrow and long hull, the design covered with spikes, and the style full of evil smell. It's so similar. There is no doubt that this is from the same series as the crashed spaceship that Sui saw under the deep sea of the polar region in the modern world. Waken Starman, Earth, Virus, Corpse King. In an instant, countless words flashed through Sui's mind. Coincidence? Or arrangement? Chapter 546, Battle. Boss, everyone looked at Sui. The other party looked aggressive, and they must have bad intentions. Pass the order, prepare for battle. Sui's face turned cold, and he immediately gave the order. So what if it's a space battleship? So what if it's an alien? If he dares to come and provoke us, he will never return. Yes, boss. Everyone immediately obeyed the order. Alien civilization. Just these 4 words carried enough weight, and the pressure made everyone a little breathless. However, they have Sui, the leader of the base, the boss of the survivors. With him, maybe another miracle can be created. For a while, the alarms in the Phaeton base sounded even more distant. Sui, now you know that I am telling the truth. What a pity, what a pity. Meng Hangsha's mocking voice came from Yuna's communicator. What a pity. Su Wei looked up at the huge black shadow gradually appearing in the sky and asked in a cold voice. It's a pity that they are all going to die. If you had agreed to cooperate earlier, we would still have a chance. Now at the end, Meng Hengsha also fell silent. Humph, you are judging people through the cracks in the door. If you want to cooperate, show your sincerity. If you don't have that ability, just shut up. Stop talking nonsense and annoying people, Su Wei retorted without any politeness. Do you think my Phaeton is a vegetarian? You talk as if you have a lot of experience in dealing with the weakened people. If that were the case, would the human survivors be so humble? You bastard. Meng Hengsha was so angry that she burst into swearing, and she lost her ladylike demeanor at all. Yuna just looked at her with curiosity. I didn't expect that such a considerate brother would have such a confrontational side. Okay, stop talking nonsense. I know you are prepared, then use all of them. If you satisfy me, cooperation will not be a problem. If you suck at me, then don't be ruthless and deal with you all, Su Wei said bluntly. According to the current situation, there should be more than 5 mechas coming to the bloody fortress. Of course we are prepared. The problem is that the weakened people are at the door. How long can you hold out? Meng Hengsha suppressed her anger and said coldly. One wrong step, all wrong steps. Even if the Winged Tiger Mecha Regiment came at full speed, the hope of victory was extremely slim. After all, there is a gap in technology. In the past, they relied on ambushes to win. What's more, with the strength of Phaeton, can it hold out until the Winged Tiger Mecha Regiment arrives? Meng Hengsha expressed doubts. How long? Oh, it's too long. If you want to cooperate, hurry up. Su Wei also made up an advertising slogan. Well, not bad, it's a good match. HMPH, Meng Hengsha snorted coldly and didn't reply. She now knew why Su Wei didn't confiscate her communicator. The Winged Tiger Mecha Regiment needs at least 15 minutes to get here. Don't be disarmed too early. Meng Hengsha sent out the secret order built into the communicator. Then she said to Su Wei, and Lin Mo didn't forget to mock him harshly. Then let's wait and see, Su Wei said and flew into the sky. At this time, the space battleship of the weakened people had already hovered in the sky not far from the Phaeton base. The hundreds of meters long ship body cast a huge shadow on the ground. The Phaeton army had already assembled and was ready to go. The closer the distance, the clearer Su Wei could see. Yes, now he can be 100% sure that the spaceship at the Weao base is of the same origin as it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the weakened people didn't make any expression. As soon as the space battleship stopped, the cabin cover slowly opened. Countless combat aircraft flew out of the cabin like locusts. After a short formation, they swooped down towards the Phaeton base. The battle began. Attack. Facing the surging combat aircraft, Su Wei ordered to open fire without hesitation. For a moment, closed defense guns, electromagnetic guns, laser guns, missiles, and rockets were fired one after another. In an instant, a layer of firepower network was woven above the Phaeton base. The first batch of combat aircraft that swooped down were immediately beaten into sieves. Countless debris fell from the sky. How does it taste? Looking at the countless fireworks blooming in the sky, Su Wei couldn't help but say. Don't be too happy too soon. These are just the lowest level drones of the weakened people. No matter how much loss they suffer, it won't have any effect on them. Meng Hengsha just couldn't stand Su Wei's boasting, and she didn't hesitate to pour cold water on him. Humph, Su Wei didn't bother to pay attention to her. Whoosh, at this time, the combat aircraft of the weakened people also began to fight back. They are mainly equipped with energy weapon laser beams. The killing range is not very good, but the penetration is still very strong. In addition, with a dense number, the killing power should not be underestimated. Soon, Phaeton suffered losses. Fortunately, most of them are automated defense weapons, and there are no casualties. However, at this time, it is necessary to dispatch an engineering team to repair or replace the damaged defense weapons. Therefore, super soldiers are also dispatched. While protecting the engineering personnel, they are responsible for filling the missing firepower. The two sides started a tug-of-war. However, under the powerful firepower of Phaeton, the drones of the weakened people did not gain much advantage. The battle situation has been deadlocked. The drones of the weakened people have never been able to break through the firepower network of Phaeton. Phaeton did not dare to rashly launch an attack on its warships. Meng Hengsha in the cockpit of Black Phoenix No. 1 became more and more silent. Relatively speaking, she knows the weakened people very well. After all, The Blood Fortress has fought with the Weekend people for at least hundreds of times over the years. But at this moment, she was shocked by the strength of the Phaeton base. In this relatively barren Jinquin city, such a powerful survivor base has developed. Before, they knew nothing about it. The last time the Blood Fortress's miscellaneous troops came to recapture the Longhu base, they were severely damaged. But the top leaders did not take it seriously at all. Because the armed personnel who came that time were only considered militia level in the Blood Fortress. She was going to come to Longhu a long time ago, but was delayed because of an encounter with the Weekend people. Then, there was news that the Phaeton attacked Jinquin City. After all, such a big noise could not be concealed. At first, the Blood Fortress thought that Su Wei was too arrogant and made a crazy move. They were waiting to see the joke of him being wiped out. But unexpectedly, Phaeton actually succeeded in recapturing Jinquin City. They had only seen the means to control zombies from the Weekend people. This discovery immediately attracted the attention of the senior officials of the Scarlet Fortress. At the same time, they discovered that the Weekend people were preparing to deal with Phaeton. They immediately sent the strongest Winged Tiger Mecha regiment to support them. First, they wanted to see what was so special about Phaeton. Second, they wanted to learn the means to control zombies. As for cooperation or conquest, it depended on how strong Phaeton was. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 547 Star Eater. Brother is so powerful that you can't imagine. Looking at the silent Meng Hangsha, Yuna said something inexplicably. But when Meng Hangsha cast her eyes on her, Yuna turned her head to look at the battlefield outside. It seemed that she was just talking to herself just now. Soon, the Weekend people lost their patience. The new engine cover on the battleship opened. A group of thousands of soldiers in black armor rushed out. They were over 3 meters tall, with long arms and legs, and their long heads were wrapped in wolf-shaped helmets, revealing only 2 eyes emitting red light. This should be the power armor soldiers of the Weekend people. Both hands were equipped with alloy claws, there were laser transmitters on the back of their hands, and there was a metal mechanical backpack on their backs. Li Yanli, bring people, and get them in one wave, Su Wei ordered immediately. These Weekend soldiers were close combat masters at a glance, and he didn't want the super soldiers to increase casualties. Send out the special forces directly. Efficient and fast. Got it, boss. Brothers, here comes the work. Li Yanli's coquettish voice immediately rang out in the communicator. As he spoke, a team of nearly 1,000 special forces followed Li Yanli and rushed forward. Although the special forces did not have an advantage in numbers, they still had the support of the fierce ghosts on the ground. For a while, the fight was indisputable. But soon, Su Wei frowned. The armor of the Weekend warriors was too strong. It was difficult for Li Yanli and his weapons to confront head-on. The HT-1 power armor could withstand the opponent's laser beam, but it could not prevent the opponent's alloy claws. Only the Guardian's enlarged shield could resist it. Fortunately, these Weekend warriors were not invincible, and there would always be gaps between the armor. This became the focus of Li Yanli and his attack. The Fierce Ghost super-powered electromagnetic sniper rifle bullets, although unable to penetrate the armor of the Weekend warriors head-on, could also cause them to freeze for a short time due to the powerful kinetic energy they carried. This provided the possibility for the special forces to kill the opponent. The battle between the two sides instantly became white-hot. With a powerful firepower support from the ground, Li Yanli's special forces still needed 2 for 1, or even 3 for 1, to kill a Weekend soldier. Watching the special forces soldiers holding the enemy's body and falling to the ground together, Su Wei's heart couldn't help but bleed. This was the most difficult battle since the establishment of Phaeton. Any equipment and weapons felt inferior, and they could only fill it with human lives. Meng Hangsha, where are your people? Su Wei couldn't help but shout at the communicator. 15 minutes had passed unknowingly, but not even a hair of the enemy was seen. Meng Hangsha was speechless. She originally thought that Phaeton would not last more than 5 minutes. Unexpectedly, after 15 minutes, Phaeton still showed no signs of defeat. Although the casualties were somewhat heavy, even if the elite of the Blood Fortress came, it would not be much more than this. I don't know, suddenly lost contact, Meng Hangsha could only answer with shame in the end. As early as 10 minutes ago, she noticed the abnormal communication. But she couldn't get in touch with him, and she had no other options. Yo, you're kidding me, right? It seems like you guys are planning to take advantage of me, Su Wei responded coldly to Meng Hangsha's answer. Meng Hangsha was also speechless. Because Su Wei was right. The Crimson Fortress's council had discussed this issue. And he told her to act according to circumstances. She must find a way to control the zombies. It would be best if she could control them in her own hands. Because this is a crucial step for humans to turn defeat into victory. HMPH Nana, Xialing, go for it, kill these bastards. Su Wei ignored Meng Hangsha and directly ordered the Black Phoenix Mecha to go into battle. He couldn't bear to watch the Special Forces members die. Got it, the two women immediately controlled the Black Phoenix Unit 1 and Unit 2 and rushed forward. Under the crushing pressure of dozens of times the size, the warriors of the weakened star could not resist. They were either crushed or knocked out by a punch. Their attacks were like tickling the thick armor of the mecha. With the addition of the Black Phoenix mecha, the passive situation of the Special Forces was instantly reversed. The warriors of the weakened star suffered heavy casualties in an instant. Boom boom. Seeing this, the weakened star warship opened fire. The bowl-sized laser directly bombarded the armor of the Black Phoenix mecha. It caused huge damage. Fortunately, the mecha was more flexible. Except for the first hit, the rest were dodged. It seemed that the ship's guns were ineffective. A huge hatch opened at the tail of the weakened star warship. Released a mecha that was comparable in size to the Black Phoenix. However, the weakened star mecha, in addition to the metal armor, actually had obvious biological tissue attached to it. At first glance, it was like metal armor was implanted in the body of some giant creature. Not good. It's the ace mecha of the weakened people, the Star Eater. Meng Hangsha in the cockpit of the Black Phoenix number 1 could not help but change her expression. Star Eater. As the name suggests, it is a powerful mecha that is enough to destroy a planet. When the Blood Fortress fought against it, it was no surprise that it was annihilated every time. Unexpectedly, this time, the weakened people sent out the most powerful Star Eater as soon as they arrived. It seems that the ability to control zombies in groups is indeed a taboo for the weakened people. They are determined to destroy the Phaeton base. Star Eater, is it powerful? Su Wei was stunned when he heard it. This strange thing that looks half biological and half mechanical, like a piece of assembled goods, how powerful can it be? But the name sounds very domineering. Of course it's powerful, it can destroy a planet by itself. It was transformed from a giant space beast called the Star Devourer. From the perspective of size, this is just a transformed Star Devourer cub. But for planets like ours where interstellar civilization is just starting, it's simply a nightmare. Many civilizations are used as nutrients to feed the Star Devourer, Meng Hangsha explained with a sad face. It can be seen that this Star Devourer gave her extremely bad memories. So much nonsense. What is the attack method of this Star Devourer? Now Suhook was not interested in listening to her explanation, and interrupted Meng Hangsha's words without hesitation. Devouring, it has only one attack method. That is devouring. Both material and non-material things can be devoured by it. Meng Hangsha was not angry this time, but answered very cooperatively. Because she was desperate. In the combat records of the Blood Fortress, there is no possibility of survival if you encounter a Star Devourer. Fuck, it can devour both material and non-material things. Why does it sound so awesome? It means it not only devours the body, but also the soul. Beast Su Wei was stunned. How could this be the legendary Teodi? Chapter 548 Devouring Body. All personnel, take precautions. The opponent's mecha is called Star Devourer. Known ability is Devourer. Keep combat distance. Su Wei did not delay and immediately conveyed the order in the public channel. Although the ability to devour everything is powerful, it is definitely not unlimited. At least it is impossible to swallow the Phaeton base in one bite. If that were the case, the Star Devourer would be released as soon as it arrived. Received. The responses of the heads of various departments came one after another in the channel. In the sky, Yuna and Zhangling also led the special forces to disperse and distance themselves from the Star Devourer. They dared not bet that the weakened people would be afraid to act rashly. After all, they can make things like zombie viruses, so what else can they make? However, the Star Devourer ignored the battlefield in the sky and flew straight to the sky above the Phaeton base. It looked very strange with human-like limbs and torso, but with a big head like a fish head. When it approached, without saying a word, It opened its strange bloody mouth, revealing the alloy fangs embedded in its mouth. In the sunlight, it emits a cold light. A black hole soon formed in the mouth of the Star Eater, and the huge attraction immediately sucked in everything nearby. Whether it was a drone or the bullets, shells, and laser beams fired at it, they were all absorbed. A large vacuum zone suddenly appeared above the Phaeton. The Star Eater also burped humanely, and a wisp of green smoke came out of its mouth. It added a bit of stupidity to this weird look. It made people laugh and cry. Although the picture was a bit funny, the reality was absolutely cruel. No one of the weakened people fought without hesitation. Taking advantage of the loopholes in the firepower network above the Phaeton, they rushed in. A large group of densely packed people swarmed in. They rushed towards the ranged weapons of the Phaeton base. Boom! In an instant, a piece was destroyed. The firepower network of the Phaeton base became more sparse. This further led to more and more combat drones rushing in. The primary goal of these combat drones is to destroy defensive weapons, followed by ammunition depots and military camps. The battle plan is very clear. However, Phaeton is not easy to mess with. Although half of the defensive weapons are paralyzed, but a large number of super soldiers are put into battle and destroyed a large number of combat drones. In addition to the elusive fierce ghosts, the combat drones of the weakened star that seem to have broken through the defense actually destroyed most of the low-level defensive weapons. Important heavy weapons such as laser cannons and electromagnetic cannons are mostly intact under the protection of super soldiers. Let Phaeton still have the strength to fight. Sizzle! Suddenly, a stream of plasma was ejected from the ground in front of the mecha hangar, and it spread instantly, covering a large area. Any combat drone that broke into this place exploded instantly and turned into a pile of debris. Thor also began to show his power. Nowadays, there are sufficient supplies, and there are more than one Thor in the Phaeton base. But because of the inconvenience of movement and low firing rate, it was converted into a defensive weapon to defend the core of this base, the mecha hangar. Of course, there is also the basalt shield. But it is not time to activate it yet. Roar Thor's plasma has not dissipated yet, and a loud beast roar sounded in a corner of the base. Then a thick white light shot up into the sky, like a swinging stick, turning the combat drones in that area into ashes. At the same time, 3 thin white lights also shot up into the sky. Their power and accuracy were not very good, but there were too many combat drones, and 1 or 2 could be encountered at random. Yes, this is the battle group that Abe and his 3 cubs have joined. As for Xiaobe, it has no long-range attack ability, but it is not idle. It jumped onto the roof and lay down carefully. Any combat drone that flew a little lower would be slapped down by it, and then it would press its 2 front paws to the ground and bite it. In just a few bites, the combat drones were emitting black smoke. Then it continued to lie on the roof and ambush the next one. A vivid interpretation of the nature of cats. These are just a microcosm of the entire battlefield. In short, Phaeton is now caught in a battle where everyone is a soldier. Except for the technical talents who have been evacuated to the mecha hangar, everyone else, oh no, every other species belonging to Phaeton is fighting hard. Determined to give the invading enemy a head-on blow. All this, in Meng Hangsha's eyes, made her heart surge. What kind of leader is it? To build such a tenacious base on the wasteland? There is no pre-war encouragement, no war supervision, and no slave shackles. But these people, these mutant beasts are fighting with all their strength. The fighting power that erupts in this way is immeasurable. Roar, roar! At this moment, a group of people riding mutant giant wolves rushed over from the west. They were wearing silver armor, and the mutant giant wolves under their crotch were also wearing the same silver armor. Yes, it was the Hidden Wolf Corps stationed at the Phoenix Nest base. Mazioi brought people over as soon as she received the news. Although her Hidden Wolf cavalry has no air combat capability, they also have long-range weapons. Others can't help, but it's still okay to shoot down planes. At the same time, a team of super soldiers arrived from the east. They were reinforcements from Longtang base. They joined the battle without saying a word. This time, the combat drones of the weakened people were shot down faster. Hey, our reinforcements have arrived. Where's the arrangement you said? During the battle, Yuna couldn't help but tease Meng Hangsha. Humph, Meng Hangsha snorted coldly and didn't reply. Although she admired him in her heart, she was still very stubborn. At the same time, Meng Hangsha became more and more worried. I don't know how her subordinates are doing after not contacting her for so long. Roar, seeing that it was unsuccessful, The Star Eater launched again. The black hole in the bloody mouth appeared again. This time the range was larger and the time was longer. The damage caused was also greater. It even extended to the ground. Some buildings were overwhelmed and shattered, and the debris was sucked into the belly of the Star Eater. There were even a few super soldiers who were accidentally sucked in. They didn't even have time to scream before they lost contact instantly. The name of Star Eater is indeed powerful. Sui rushed over with a whoosh, avoiding the section of the black hole and going behind the Star Eater. He pulled out a 3-meter-long sword and chopped it up. With a crash, a large hole was instantly broken in the armor of alloy mixed with biological tissue. Purple-red blood sprayed out, forming a puff of purple mist in the air. Ouch! The intense pain made the Star Eater stop swallowing. The huge alloy palm turned around and grabbed Sui. However, Sui's speed was beyond its ability to catch. It was quickly dodged. By the way, it also left another long scratch on its arm. Purple-red blood gushed out and instantly soaked the entire arm. Chapter 549 Big Flash. Just like that, as soon as he made contact, Sui caused damage to the Star Eater twice. This caused everyone to cheer. The previously suppressed anger was immediately vented, and it was madly output towards the combat drones of the weakened people and those weakened soldiers. For a time, the weakened people were beaten back step by step. The focus of the battlefield was naturally indistinguishable. The size of the Star Eater determined that its speed could not catch up with Sui, and its swallowing big move naturally could not lock Sui. But at the same time, it also determined that the damage caused by Sui to it was all superficial injuries, and it was difficult to hurt the core. Don't look at Sui's prosperous fight, every knife hit the flesh. But only he himself knew the futility of it. It's not that he didn't want to use his internal force to summon a sharper blade. But, in fact, he had already tried it. The Star Eater can not only swallow with its mouth, but also has a strange power in its body. The internal force used by Sui was swallowed up by it in an instant, like a stone sinking into the sea, and could not cause any harm. Now, Sui could only rely on the sharpness of Bojun to inflict the purest physical damage. The Star Devourer was indeed extraordinary. However, its strength was more than that. Sui soon discovered that the wounds caused earlier were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The scabs of the first 2 wounds had fallen off, leaving nothing but a scar. With such a terrifying self-healing ability, even the Black Phoenix Mecha would have to kneel down. Devouring skills, devouring bodies, and super strong self-healing abilities. Sui's brows could not help but frown deeply. Even the gravity field was ineffective against it. What do you say? The field is also a kind of energy. As long as it is energy, it will be devoured by the devouring body. Therefore, in the gravity field, the Star Devourer not only did not feel restrained, but felt like a spring breeze. Quite moist. What to do? Sui fell into endless thinking. But what Sui didn't know was, just when he felt overwhelmed, there was a panic on the weakened Star Warship. The knife in Sui's hand can actually kill the devourer of the Star Devourer. You know, it can devour all material and non-material things. The knife has already come into contact with its body, but it has not been devoured. There's only one result. That is, the big knife in Sui's hand must have been added with extremely rare blue chen gold. Because among the known substances, it seems that only blue chen gold cannot be devoured. Therefore, weapons with blue chen gold added will become the nemesis of the Star Devourer. As long as it is used properly, it can kill the Star Devourer. Because that's what they do, to control the Star Devourer and transform it. The problem is that blue chen gold is extremely rare. Even the weakened people who have conquered many star fields don't have much blue chen gold. They are all listed as core objects to be managed, and they are extremely precious. Where did Sui get it from? In addition, when Phaeton was observed to attack Jinquan City, the tactics used were definitely the specialty of weakened Starstone. This is the purpose of their trip. Destroy the Phaeton base and take back the Starstone. However, now they have discovered blue chen gold, which makes them even more afraid. How could this not surprise the awakened people on the battleship? Soon, after some communication of consciousness, the highest commander of this battleship received an order to destroy the human base in front of him at all costs, including killing Sui who possessed the blue Chenjin weapon. No human being should be spared. Soon, the order was conveyed to the consciousness of every awakened person present. All the hatches on the battleship opened wide, and combat drones and awakened warriors jumped out of the cabin one after another, rushing towards the Phaeton base with a roar. For a time, the pressure on the people of Phaeton increased greatly. Hold on, Sue couldn't help but distractedly admonished. However, he still distanced himself from the Star Eater in advance. But at this moment, the Star Eater in the distance suddenly disappeared, as if he had evaporated from the earth, without a trace. Before Sue could react, a huge suction force appeared behind him and sucked him firmly. Sue tried his best to stabilize his body and turned his head to see. Damn! Big move followed by flash? The disappeared Star Eater unexpectedly appeared behind him, mouth wide open. A black dot gradually expanded into a black hole. The huge suction force came from there. Sue tried his best, but he could only stabilize his body. He wanted to break free, but he was a little powerless. Such a huge monster could actually flash. Who would have thought of this? Meng Hangsha. You really screwed me this time. Brother, Sue, boss. Everyone also discovered Sue's crisis at this time. Their eyes turned red in an instant, and they all rushed towards Sue shouting. They didn't care about the danger of the black hole at all. Get back, don't come to hinder me. Sue's eyelids twitched. He still had a life-saving big move that he didn't use. Aren't you guys rushing over to die? But at this time, who would listen to it? Seeing that the Black Phoenix Unit 2 was about to enter the range of the black hole, Sue quickly gave up resistance and let the black hole suck him in. But just before entering, Sue activated the ring and teleported back to the modern world. Of course, with Sue's character, he would not leave in such a dejected manner. Before leaving, he directly opened the storage space and threw out everything that could explode in the space, including several reserve crystal bombs. They were also sent into the mouth of the Star Eater. Whether it can succeed depends on God's will. No Zhang, Yuna and others watched Sue being sucked in, and they couldn't help crying out in grief. Even Meng Hangsha had tears in the corners of her eyes. Maybe she didn't even know why the tears came out. It seemed that it had encountered some limit. After the Star Eater swallowed Sue, the black hole disappeared instantly, and it sneezed at the same time. No wonder, it swallowed so many things at once, and it was probably choked. The ammunition stored by Sue during this period is not covered. Especially after the zombie tide, he developed a fear of insufficient firepower, so the ammunition in the space was naturally very abundant. There were also several customized crystal bombs, which were the final killer. One of them was filled to the maximum equivalent, used to perish together. Once it exploded, it could even destroy the world. Bang 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 just when everyone in Phaeton fell into extreme sadness. After sneezing, the Star Eater suddenly had bulges on his body, and made a dense, dull sound. It was like the sound of corn kernels in a hot pot, exploding into popcorn. The sudden change immediately attracted everyone's attention. What's going on? Could it be Sue? Bang 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 bang. The low explosion sound became more and more frequent. The bulges on the Star Eater's body became more and more. Some bulges even overlapped and bulged high. It made the Star Eater look more and more swollen. Such a sudden change made the people of Weekend at a loss. The battlefield suddenly fell into a state of stillness, as if the pause button had been pressed. Only the painful wails of the Star Eater remained. Chapter 550 Big Surprise. In just 1 minute, the Star Eater expanded into a sphere, and it gradually emitted a red and yellow light. From a distance, it looked like a little sun in the sky. Sister Xiaoling, do you think it was my brother who did it? Surprised, Yuna couldn't help but ask Zhangling through the communicator. No, I don't know, maybe. Zhangling was also stunned, but she was looking forward to it. Not good, that thing is going to explode. Everyone, get into the bunker. Suddenly, Zhangling shouted loudly on the public channel. As an excellent sniper, he has a transcendent premonition and judgment of danger. Xiona, hurry up, protect the mecha hangar. Then, Zhangling shouted to Yuna again. The mecha hangar is not only a place for mechas to be stored, but also the core technology carrier of the Phaeton base. Moreover, all the technical talents are concentrated there at this time, so it is naturally the primary target of protection. To put it bluntly, as long as the mecha hangar is saved, the Phaeton will not be considered a loss. Okay, Yuna reacted immediately, and piloted Black Phoenix No. 1 to rush to the mecha hangar in the center of the base along with Zhangling's Black Phoenix No. 2. Others also rushed to the nearest bunker. The invading Waken people did not take the opportunity to attack, but instead issued an order to withdraw their troops. Obviously, the Star Eater has completely lost control. After the nearby awakened warriors returned to the warship hastily retreated, trying to stay away from the spherical Star Eater. Even those combat drones that did not have time to return were ignored. Boom! With a shocking sound, the Star Eater that had expanded to the extreme finally exploded from the inside. This is equivalent to dropping a high-yield crystal bomb over the Phaeton base. A huge mushroom cloud rose instantly. The violent shock wave swept in all directions like a wave. Fortunately, the explosion point was several hundred meters high in the air, and the main shock wave was also in the open area. The damage caused to the surface was relatively weaker. But despite this, the area within a radius of dozens of kilometers was almost flattened. Except for those particularly sturdy fortress-like buildings, all others were knocked down and turned into a pile of rubble. Fortunately, most of the survivors were doing cleanup work in Jinquan City. Only a small number of people stayed behind. Most of them retreated to underground bunkers in advance. Therefore, the casualties were mainly among the armed personnel. Fortunately, most of them were protected by power armor and were not on the front of the shock wave. Therefore, the situation was not too bad. The most important mecha hangar, thanks to the protection of Black Phoenix No. 1 and No. 2, resisted most of the shock waves. In addition, the basalt shield was opened in time. There was basically no damage, and there was no shaking. On the other hand, the awakened people looked very embarrassed. The first to bear the brunt were those combat drones that did not return, which were directly scrapped in the shock wave, without any escape. The wreckage and debris were scattered all over the ground. Secondly, the awakened warriors who did not have time to board the ship also could not escape the fate of being crushed. Finally, it was the battleship of the weakened people. It was at the same height and endured a huge shock wave that it should not have endured. Not only was it blown all over the air, but the surface of the ship was damaged in many places, and even several ship guns were broken and fell. The violent energy frenzy lasted for more than 10 minutes before it slowly stopped. The surroundings became extremely quiet. The tranquility after the extreme explosion made people feel so quiet that it was scary. There was not even a sound of wind. If it weren't for the fact that you could still hear your own heartbeat, you might even suspect that you had reached heaven. Brother Su-wei boss, after the energy storm, everyone's first reaction was to look at the place where the Star Eater had been. An endless sadness spread again. Is it possible to survive an explosion of this scale? However, a miracle reappeared. In the exceptionally bright sky, a familiar figure was hovering. Blue paint, domineering appearance, and a 3-meter-long sword, shining in the sun. Brother Su-wei boss, everyone couldn't help crying with joy. Their boss, their leader, once again created a miracle. Cheers came one after another, venting their inner ecstasy. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Su-wei couldn't help laughing. How could he describe his mood at this moment with just one word: refreshing? It turned out that after Su-wei teleported back to the modern world, he teleported back again a few minutes later, and the explosion had spread. Although there was still a raging energy frenzy, the explosion point was much calmer than the shock wave that spread out. It was just that the violent energy tide temporarily disabled all communications, so Su-wei could only wait quietly in place. After the energy frenzy disappeared, the communication was restored. How is this possible? Hearing Su-wei's relaxed voice, Meng Hangsha in the cockpit of Black Phoenix Unit 1 was so surprised that she opened her cherry mouth wide and couldn't close it for a long time. Star Eater. The strongest combat power of the weakened people known so far. It was actually blown up by the man in front of him. And he looked unharmed. An extreme sense of awe rose from the bottom of Meng Hangsha's heart. A complex and incomprehensible expression appeared on her face. I said it, brother is so powerful that you can't imagine, Yuna on the side repeated while shedding tears of joy. If she could, she would throw herself into Su-wei's arms and vent her emotions. But the battleship of the weakened people has not left yet. The threat still exists. Therefore, they still need to continue to guard the mecha hangar and the fire of Phaeton. Meng Hangsha did not react at all, not knowing whether she was stunned or acquiesced. After a long time, Meng Hangsha sighed deeply, forced to tidy up her messy mind. However, when her eyes swept over the battleship of the weakened people, her face suddenly changed. Su-wei, quick, stop the weakened, they are using the main gun of the battleship. If we are hit, the consequences will be disastrous, Meng Hangsha shouted immediately. The communicator was on, and she believed that Su-wei could hear it. Where is the energy core of the battleship? How long does it take to charge the main gun? Sure enough, Sue's voice came over soon. It's in the middle and back, just below the Star Eater Mecha cabin. It only takes 3 minutes to charge the main gun, Meng Hangsha said without reservation. The Blood Fortress had fought against the Awakened battleship before and understood some of its basic structures. Moreover, at this moment, the main gun of the Awakened battleship was facing the mecha hangar of the Phaeton, and it was obviously predicted that this was the core of the Phaeton. It would definitely not be stopped by 2 Black Phoenix mechas and a basalt shield alone. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.